Well, that was an interesting start to the whole thing. The entire YouTube system just crashed, like straight off the mark. Suddenly it said live streaming was not available to me. Then it went away, then it came back, then it went away, then it came back. And yes, it is 2 o'clock. It is Sunday, and it is the Sunday service. We've made it. I didn't think I was going to make that. Now, lads, I have to say, I thought that was going to be a disaster. I think it might have been a problem with YouTube themselves rather than anybody. Hopefully everybody's settling in okay and we're getting audio and video. Everything's okay on my end. That was weird, I have to say. Very, very weird. I've never seen YouTube behave like that. Anyway, they have been having some live streaming problems. I found when I'm setting up the live stream that it suddenly picks like 7 o'clock in the evening or 4 o'clock in the afternoon after I've selected 2 o'clock, which is kind of weird. Huge shout out already to William Hope, who's donated money by Super Chat, and Tommy, who has bought some sort of sticker by Super Chat as well. Thank you very much. We haven't even started yet. You're already on the ball. You're the like number one. Very successful Zoom meeting with a few of the patrons the other night. A bit of crack. We spent like a couple of hours just chit chatting and having a talk on Zoom. It was lovely. It was lovely to actually finally see the people behind the names that I read out every week. It's kind of weird to do that because you all know what I look like. So I'm not sure what all you look like. Although some of you just listen to this, so that's okay. Other people are in the house already. Johnny Dub is here already. Pat Nolan. Hi, Bob. Well done on viewing figures. Regards, Pat. Yeah, we have. We're nearly 50,000 subscribers. But the last few days has had like 3 million views or something. Crazy. Big, crazy numbers like that as people come for the documentaries. The Tesla one, I'm finishing the shoot tomorrow. Legal stuff is finished as well. I'm okay. I'm not defaming anybody. I'm not going to get sued by Elon Musk for what I'm saying. Well, you never know. He sues people for all kinds of reasons. But more of those coming out. I'm hoping to be getting more cars this coming week, so I get more reviews as well. And I have another documentary thing lined up to run, which is kind of cool. The other documentary is about how our towns and cities have been shaped by the automobile and who was behind that. Who started out shaping the towns, or did the town shape the car, or the car shape the town? That's kind of what the question is. Kind of an oddball one. Lots of old stock footage. The problem with the Tesla one is everybody in the Tesla video is still alive. You have to be careful when they're living. You can't just kind of say anything you want about them. Different when they're dead. Robert Doyle has made. I spoke to Robert Doyle recently. Robert Doyle is promoting himself all over my channel. Thanks, Robert. It's okay. You wouldn't mind promoting my channel as well on my channel. It's always good to, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Derek Norris. Good afternoon, Derek Norris. Like a new intro. Yeah, I did a new intro. Unbelievable guy I went to school with years ago called Jerome made the music behind the video. I made the little visual bit, but he made the music behind the video, and we're going to work together on a few more projects for music as well. So that's going to get really interesting. I went to primary school with him, like it's so long ago. He's like a famous band, so yeah, it's cool to have original music on the intro. He's making another one for the documentaries as well, so there's a little bit going on. That's really cool. There's another friend of mine as well called Colin Patterson I'm going to be dealing with on music end of stuff. Lots of exciting little bits coming along the way, and it's all for this channel. So nothing, I'm not making something that's not going to be here on the channel for you guys to watch. I'm going to make stuff that's going to be here on the channel and support all these new subscribers that have come along. And it's been about 2,500 subscribers in the last 2 weeks. So the channel is growing very, very quickly. I've had a couple of TV stations ask me about stuff as well, but I just turned it down because the channel is just growing. I just don't have time. And nobody, weirdly, when I do radio and I've done TV before, and nobody comes. There's no extra, nobody subscribes from the TV. It's weird. It's cool, but it's weird. Martio, afternoon all, heading into work now, so looking forward to catching up later on. Stay safe. Thanks, Marty. Eric Watchers here. Welcome to all the early arrivals. Good man. Operator Hoot is here. Andy FX7 is here. Thank you. Interesting virtual review this week. There was a virtual review. The Toyota. Oh no, the other one, the Golf GTI. Yeah, it's hard to make sense of what I'm supposed to do anymore because like there was a time where I would have went to Germany or somewhere to drive that car. We all would have. And you get a better hands-on. You kind of get behind the wheel and feel and touch and sit in and get the idea how big or how small the car feels on the road. And then from that, you get the idea of what the car is going to be like when it reaches Ireland. Usually, the suspension is the last thing they tune just before they release it onto the market. So you don't really test the suspension so much overseas. You kind of feel the handling in it, but the suspension is a little bit different. And then we get to sit down with the designers and the engineers, but the Volkswagen Golf team is just a PowerPoint slideshow. And you're sitting there watching a PowerPoint show and you're listening to the guy behind it and he's telling you all the details, but you still kind of got to read between the lines because they don't let you ask questions anymore. And I find that as a journalist is very difficult because someone will say something, you go, hold on, why are you using that engine? Not that, why isn't it electrified? Why haven't you got this in it? What's that for? And where's that go? And how does that fit in the range? And what are you going to do when the ID3 comes out? All that sort of questions you would ask at an open press conference. But the best I could do was sort of virtual review, sort of an idea what it looked like on the road. Robbed a bit of video here and there and put it up. And the race drivers, actually, the guy driving the car in the video is on Instagram. He was linked. Anyway, Irish Foxhound says, hi, one and all. Bob, what do you think? 16 is too young to drive a tractor with full load of silage, etc. On the road? Yes, 100%. I do think I know farmers have a problem with paying people and trying to get staff and people to drive and proper licenses. And I know a lot of these kids who are driving the tractors grew up in the environment of driving a tractor off the road. But at 16 on the road, lads, it's a very difficult place to be. A lot of traffic. Farming is not what it used to be. The traffic on the road is not what it used to be. There's a lot more traffic these days. And letting 16, 17-year-olds who don't have a driver's license out onto the road in a 2, 3, 4, 5 ton tractor is a recipe for disaster at some point. A few years back, a group of young people driving a car at nighttime hit a tractor in the evening. It didn't have any lights on the back of it, and they hit it. They rear-ended and were killed. 2 of them were killed, I think, out of 4. So that was here in Ireland, and that does happen. So don't dismiss tractors and thinking they're very, very slow and it won't be in the way. Sometimes they do, and at nighttime they're pitch black. Gary Mills, afternoon, Bob. Will we see more dealers offering video calls, disinfected delivery and remote purchases options and more in the future? Yes, big investment to do this though, boys. A lot of dealerships didn't do anything about opening up again, about getting video calls, about getting Zoom chats. If you're a dealership and you need help with this, get in touch with me, okay? I understand how this works. I understand how this medium works. Talking to people online and videos and setting up the chats to make them very straightforward, how to negotiate with people as well. So please get in touch with me after the show and I'll help you as any way I possibly can. If you need to set up a call and reassure your customers, I've got people, we've got a little team around us here that we can all work together to get you all online very, very quickly, okay? This really doesn't take much. It's just a mobile phone. That's all you really need. But you can set up webcams. I think I can get my hands on some webcams for people to short them as well. It can be done, okay? We can get, if you're a dealer and you need help with that, phone me or email me straight after the show. Leave a comment and a message, whatever. But realistically, you're going to have to modernize and you're going to have to do it overnight. And I mean really, really fast. You're not going to have time to sit back and think of and start looking at dealer books and dealer options and having little sales meetings in the morning, flipping over a page and looking through your second-hand used car lot. You're just going to have to hit the ground running. And I mean running, because every dealership is now going to be pilfering and conquest sales from everybody else. This is going to be a dog-eat-dog situation. Everybody's starved of money. Every dealership wants to sell more cars, but also you've got a very tiny market now. You've got huge unemployment at the moment, both in this country and overseas. You've got, even if you wanted a brand new car right now, we don't know the supply chain ethics right behind it. We don't know if the supply chain is able to ramp up to meet demand instantaneously. I'm sure they can get some of it. We've got some fields of cars here that have already been ordered and lots of deliveries already to do. But realistically, you're going to have to get in on the ground foot of every single moment now, and you're going to have to embrace this technology I'm using right now, not just Zoom but Skype or whatever way people want to contact you. You're going to have to get used to it, and if you haven't got someone in your dealership used to it, you're going to have to get trained to get used to it. You have to be able to accept these calls. You need to modernize, and you need to do it last week while you were all off swanning around the place wondering what to do next. That's when your time to be modernized was there. So if you need help, get in touch and I'll get you in the right direction instantaneously. Annie McAfee is in the house. Fantastic load of folks here already. There is. I'm going to say I need a slurp of coffee. I did the workout earlier on. I'm really sore. Like, sore. Anyway, Tamagotchi. Hi, Bob. What are your thoughts on the Audi A4? And would you recommend manual or auto? Always auto. Audi makes some good manual cars. They're not brilliant though. They work so much better on DSG auto flappy paddle box. It's like they develop in auto and then think, oh, we better make a manual. So always auto wherever you can, particularly with BMW, but Audi I would count now as well. A Mercedes for sure. God Almighty, don't ever buy any Mercedes in manual. You'll be stuck with it forever. The older ones were good, newer ones aren't so great. But Audi A4 is lovely. It's grand. Nothing wrong with them. There's a bit too many of them, but if you can get a cheap second-hand one or get a reasonably priced ex-fleet one with a good service history and a nice set of new tires on it, go for it. Nothing particularly wrong with them. They're a good old drive. They're nice yacht to spin around the countryside in. They'll do humongous mileage, but they need a little bit of minding. You have to learn to service them if you're going to service it yourself. But if you can get a second-hand clean one, yeah, sure, why not? Raymond Grace, hi Bob. I was listening to a CD called Autobahn by Kraftwerk. I know the CD, I know the songs that are on it. I used to like Kraftwerk when I was in the 80s. The Godfather's electronic music, worth a listen. As you know, the Autobahn is famous for high-speed driving. It is very little sections of it left open for full speed anymore. You used to be able to go 400-500 kilometers like on the Autobahn, and it was built by the Germans just at the kind of tail end of the Second World War. They were building it then to transport everybody across the country. Great idea. And in fairness to it, there's actually very few collisions on it. You know, when they happen, they're catastrophic, but there's very few collisions. Most people know how to drive on them. And to pass the test in Germany, you must drive on a section of the Autobahn at full speed. Not mad. But there's actually not that many sections anymore. It's more like a few kilometers of 200 kilometers an hour, and then you're back down to 100, and you're stuck in traffic and stuff. It's quite busy these days, not what it used to be. That's my doorbell. Who would dare call to me at this time of the day? And you have it all on mute, right? Mark O'Reilly's here. Getting the kettle on, says Annie McVie. Man, I have it. I had it on. I made coffee for myself. I'm sure. Hopefully, the wifelet, the Mrs. Next Year will come up in a few minutes and give me a proper cup of coffee. That's very important. Sean Farrell, hi Bob, what do you think of BYD cars, the song and Tang? I have no idea. BYD, I'd never driven one. I know the Chinese are not great at naming their cars. And at the moment, the Chinese would not be the flavour of the month in this part of the world. Just their business acumen and their mentality in general. But you know, it's the future. They're definitely going to dominate the market at some point or another. The Chinese make basically all of the batteries. They make basically all of the parts of the engines and stuff that are going into every European car. Even Tesla uses the Chinese stuff. There is Chinese parts in them. There's not that much you can do about it. They're coming and they're going to take it over. When they get their electric cars sorted, when they actually get some outlets here and people, and like the names, nobody trusts the names. Like, brilliance and stuff. Who's going to trust names like that? But once they get sorted, who knows where that's going to end. Going to be another busy one today, says Eric Roger. There's 206 people watching right now. If you could all just click the like button, and I know on some devices you can't see the like button, like if you're watching on television, because I watch some stuff on television. But I noticed the other day, I was trying to play a video on TV using Chromecast, right? So I pressed play on my phone, an ad started to play. I pressed the Chromecast button, ad ended. End of story, it was gone and it disappeared onto the screen. So unfortunately, a lot of creators are, like me, are missing out on advertising revenue when you watch on TV because they don't show you an ad. I don't know why. They just don't. Weird, isn't it? Johnny Dubb, I got €30 one for all voucher back off 123.ie, better than a kick up the arse, which is the insurance refunds. Which I found very interesting actually, because I got a letter from my insurance company saying, we're going to refund you at some stage. I didn't get anything off them yet, mind you, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be about 30 quid as well. It's a lot of €30. It ends up being a lot of money, but the insurance companies have had it their own way for years, and it is a complete cartel, and no one seems to want to attack it. Our Minister for Transport, who should be attacking, is not a Minister for Transport. He failed in the last election. He's just a caretaker. He's just waiting for someone else to take over the job. So he really doesn't care one way or the other. Our insurance regulators, who's that? Does anyone know that person's name or even heard of that person anywhere? Nah. It's a rip-off. Insurance in this country has been a rip-off for generations. It was rip-off when I was young. My first insurance was £2,500 on an absolute nonsense car, an old Datsun Nissan Cherry. But that's what you had to pay at the time. If you want to get on the road, that was the insurance. Your first time driver, tough luck. You got to deal with it. It's still the same though. It's never gone down. We never got a break from it. It just continually goes up. Sometimes it goes down. 30 quid back of 3 months of a car sitting outside. Anyway, the insurance cartel will have to end at some point in the future, I hope. Mark Arundel says, afternoon, good man. Jim Smith is here, good man. Eric Rogers answering Johnny Dubb. Jerry Wicklow says, afternoon, Bob and chat. Hope all are physically and mentally well. That's what I'm hoping everyone else is as well. We're all dealing with the lockdown different ways. Tomorrow, of course, some things are opening. I'm expecting a scene from Mad Max to appear around Woody's DIY and other garden centres as the older generation rush out to buy compost. I have also been digging in the backyard. We created 2 little flower beds in the backyard, and we bought compost up in Little yesterday actually first, and I bought some flowers and things with it, just because, you know, when you run out of things to do and you look out, you go, I'd like to mow less grass, so let's just dig up big chunks of it. That's essentially what happened. Before you knew it, we had a flower bed and then another flower bed with a tree in it, and that was just the way it is. So I'm assuming tomorrow it'll be like chaos on the way up to Woody's DIY and all these other places that sell flowers and things. It'll be funny, I'm sure. Just don't stay physically apart from each other still. You know, you got to keep that 2-meter distance. That's the thing. Let's not mess this up. We want to continue winding up to get out, for God's sake. Zdenko is here. Hellhound as well, says A up. Steve OC, they will add on next year. What'll add on next year? Is that an add on something? Sorry, you're answering George's question. Sorry about that. Barry Loftus. Hi Bob, hope all is well. Tis. Johnny Dubb says it's already gone on car tax in one pocket out the other. That's true, yeah, it's true. And actually you have to pay for bleeding tax with the car sitting there outside the door going nowhere. I have 4 cars now currently. I'm waiting for delivery of another one. I'm just minding a car for somebody else. See, I have a lockup as well. I don't always keep the cars where I live. I have a lockup that I put the cars into as well. Some of the more expensive yokes, I don't want them. I really don't want them sitting outside the door at night time. But in that situation, if you are, you know, people say about hiding the car keys beside the bed, and don't do that. Don't do that. What you want to do is protect your family, protect yourself physically. Your car is your car. It's insured. You get money back when it's stolen from outside your door. Leave your keys in the hall where they can be found in a blink of just straight away, you know, without thinking about it. Don't be a hero for a car, right? And if you have a classic car that's worth a bit of cash and, you know, your mind or whatever, try to find a lockup place. There's loads of little lockup things where you can keep the car off site and the keys off site and nobody will worry about it. Nobody even knows that it exists then. Andy McAfee says, I have CC on from watching video there. YouTube making subs for what it thinks you're saying is good. I've watched some older videos of mine where YouTube, the CC system, you know, the closed captions have popped up on the screen, and some of the words it's coming up with is nothing at all to do with what I'm saying. I suppose if I slow down talking, which I do in the documentary thing, more people will understand what I'm talking about. But this is normal speed of Irish people talking, and I think some people find it very hard to do it. Mark O'Reilly says, hope all is staying safe in these mad times. We are. So far, so good. We're all okay. Derek Meads is here. William Bellingham, good afternoon all. Say hi with a rainbow. Hi with a rainbow. Peter Dolan, hi all. Bob, your thoughts on Shane Ross not allowing extension of provisional license during lockdown, not even an elected representative, and the last election is a bit of a crazy situation, I think. Shane Ross is an idiot. Generally speaking, he got to bite at a cherry. He talked himself into a position as an independent to get himself a position within cabinet on the front bench as the Minister for Transport and Tourism, and made a complete hames of both of them, essentially, and shouldn't be anywhere near anything to do with transport. He's just screwed the whole lot up. He's upset the trucking unions, he's upset the taxi unions, he's upset the car dealerships, he's upset the Green Party, he's upset basically everybody at some point or other. And that's why he didn't keep his seat. That's why he was thrown back out again. He's a mess in general. How can you not extend a provisional license? This just makes no sense. People want to go back to work, and provisional license will deal with some of that. People travel in cars together. People get their experience on the road. They can't take a test. They've already put this in place that you're not allowed to take a test. You're not allowed to do that. So then it's the driver's fault. Is that the way it is? That's because Shane Ross is an idiot. You need a new Minister of Transport, a real one who's actually on the side of the general public rather than being on the side of business. Peter, I still can't pronounce your last name, Peter. I know you're from Scotland. I know how I should pronounce it, but I can't pronounce it. So I'm sorry. King One-Eyed is here, good man. Tommy Turf Mode. Would it be economically and ecologically sensible for Ireland to do a Cuba and just maintain the 2.1 million cars that we have? Well, yes and no. The problem for Cuba was they didn't really have a whole lot of cars to begin with, a lot of American cars, and then they had an embargo from importing anything else. So to keep all this, so it became a sort of a tourist attraction. People would come to see the old American Chevys and things, but they're all held together with bits of metal and tin cans and things. It'd be ecologically, I don't know. There's a lot of CO2 comes out of some of the older cars. Like go back to 2008, 2009 in a diesel car, and you can literally smell that thing passing you by. So a lot of CO2 and NOx coming out of those cars. So keeping them on the road, probably not. Anything from sort of mid 2000s, up that direction in petrol isn't as bad. It'd be lower CO2. They're not as bad essentially for the stuff that's actually coming out of them. Once you get into this decade, once you get in beyond 2010, 2011, those cars are relatively clean and you could keep them on the road pretty much forever and not really do a whole lot more damage for them. As long as you're not continually buying new things is the answer to most stuff. Marcus Hogan, glad to be back. Good man, Marcus, good to have you here. Loch Rin. There's a whole loch has turned up to say hello. With oil so cheap now, can we go back to big thirsty SUVs? No, because you're just defeating the purpose of it being, it's cheap, so you can buy it and put it into something economical and make it go further and make some money of it. Put in a great big SUV, might be fun, but you're just ending the benefit you just had of getting cheap stuff. That's it, pretty much. Aaron Milan is here. Come on, Aaron. Good to have you. Petrolhead94 is here as well. Eric Watcher, click that like button. Thank you very much. Click the like button, everybody, please. Thanks. 255 views watching right now, this very moment. Last week was actually a big month, or big week of it. It was like 5,000 people watched or something. And it was crazy. It went over an hour and a half. This comes out as a podcast as well, which went out this morning. Last week's one would have went out this morning on Podbean, so it should appear on your Apple Podcasts and Spotify podcasts or wherever you get them. It's in everywhere. Bob, have a spliff with Elon. He's into that. He'll soon relax. We'll see what happens. See if he gets in touch with me after this video comes out, because it's quite a history lesson on Tesla, on actually the reason why Tesla is called Tesla is also in there. That's a funny little bit, actually. And I'm just getting music made. Jerome is making a little bit of music for me as well. There's a link to Jerome's stuff down below in the comments, I think. I hope so. Andy FX7 says, I got a renewal quote from my broker of 4 years, €525 on a Golf. Rang different broker, same underwriter, €375. Insurance needs proper regulations. Well, that's just competition. I'm happier to see that you got a cheaper quote somewhere else than you rang up someone else and got exactly the same quote. That's a cartel. That's where price fixing has happened. When there's a price differential, that's just the market levels. If you listen, my advice every time with insurance is to do what Andy FX7 did. Get your renewal quote, sit down with the letter in your hand, pick up the phone. Don't go on to the websites. That's all automated. That's all bull, right? Pick up the phone and start phoning them one by one by one and keep giving the information. You got to take a half day to do this, but you will save hundreds on your insurance quote. Learn what to say, learn not what to say. You just sit there and go through the whole thing time after time, and you will definitely get a cheaper quote. I've always gotten cheaper every single year till the last couple of years where everybody just kind of went up, but I went up by like 10 quid or something. So every year I do the same thing. I sit down one day just before the insurance elapses, about 2 weeks before, and I go through and I start with the words, how are you? My insurance is out in a couple of weeks' time and just want to get a quote off you. Here's my details. And they just go through the whole thing. Takes a few minutes. Andrew Daly says, I'm back. My laptop crashed. It's good to be back. Everything crashed for me. Everything crashed on the one moment. Just as I was about to go live on this. 6 minutes too. And Zoom crashed and this crashed. That had to restart the whole thing. Fortunately, I have a great big brand new PC, so it restarts so quickly I don't have to worry about it. It's okay. Andrew Daly says, "Oh, I told the blokes on Bjorn's channel that I'll be watching this vlog. Bjorn's just finished mileage testing the Taycan. Taycan's got a gearbox, 2 gears. Wild, isn't it? Why would you mileage test anything? I don't get a diesel Passat and go as far as I possibly can go. I'm sorry, but that conversation kind of ended. This idea that you make content by testing the mileage and range and how far you're able to go. Of course, you're able to bloody go at least 300 kilometers, at least in anything. But it's completely dependent on how you drive it. I can make a hybrid car go a long way on its little hybrid battery. I can make it do it. But this concentration level is just drained the good out of driving. What's the point? You want to have a bit of fun, right? So just go have fun. It's not that difficult. I don't buy a Porsche Taycan for maximum range. I can tell you that 100% I don't do that. Gary Mills just donated some money by Super Chat. Thank you very much, Bob. I see amnesty coming down the line for all provisional drivers. Yeah, I know. Wouldn't it be gas if we did it all? Tell you, history repeats itself all the time, Gary. 100%. We're going to have a situation where there'll be all these people waiting for a test. There won't be enough testers. And they won't be able to provide, even if there was enough testers, they won't provide enough tests because they have to sit 2 meters apart inside a car with a plastic sheet between them. And what happened was in the 70s or 80s, late 70s, early 80s, there was a huge backlog of provisional license drivers wanting to get full license. So what the government did at the time, which was just hand them out. George Hook was one of those people who just got handed a driver's license. There was no test, nothing. You just walked in with a provisional license, which you could have got 5 feet away at the tax office. And you walked in and give us a full license there, pal. Boom, and out you go. Fully licensed driver. Never having sat a driving test. They'll probably do something like that again, but I'd say they'll all be shot before anything else happens. You'd never be allowed to do that these days. Health and safety, that's health and safety completely kills your freedom these days to do that sort of stuff. Lads, here's an idea. Okay, hang on. Irish Foxhound has an idea. Share the stream to your Facebook wall. Why? I was going to that one week, but then I thought, sure, what for? Everyone from Facebook comes here anyway. And it's nicer to contain it because I can't see questions on Facebook either unless I keep the 2 streams open, and it's already going on for 2.5 hours every bleeding week trying to answer all the questions here. So it's pretty hard to maintain to get the 2 streams running at once. I can do it, sure, I can do it in Zoom. Zoom makes it really straightforward to do that, but it's just the effort of how long I have to sit there and answer questions for is the problem. There's only so much questions and answers you can do. David Malloy, by the way, you can support the channel like everyone else did there in Super Chat if you want to. But there's also PayPal and Patreon down below in the comments if you want to. Patrons get a free Zoom call, which has turned out to be very good. Everybody seems to like that. We all sat around just chatting and talking and just shooting the breeze the other night. I might have a little beer night some night as well. If you want to come along, you can just go to Patreon and just become a patron for a month, or 2 months, or 3 months, or 6 months, whatever it is, at any level you like. And for the guys who submitted by PayPal or Super Chat, if you send me your email address, I will include you, and we'll have a little. It's just harder to manage. I can see everybody on Patreon. I can actually see all the list of people who have paid, but on Facebook or for PayPal or anything, you can't really look at a list like that. It doesn't work out like that. Loch Rin says, Skoda new EV any good? Yeah, it is. It seems to be pretty good. Now, we've only driven pre-production model of it, but it seemed pretty good. I was down in Durrow. It was quite nice. A woman sent me a picture of me the other day. I can't show you because she's actually someone who works in Durrow. And she sent me a picture of me in the car, which is kind of cool. But she doesn't want the picture to be published. But that was neat. Dave Malloy, hi Bob. Can you normally order a car before launch? You can now. Thinking Skoda Octavia, where launched delayed until September, thanks. You can now for most of them, but it's usually the electric cars, pre-registering electric cars, trying to get your interest in it. Now, I would suggest that most dealers would be insane to turn away good money. But just remember, David Malloy, please check the terms and conditions, because some of these people will not give you your money back. If you're very, very, very unlucky, you could be in a situation you hand over a couple of grand for your deposit, then you chicken out 6 months into the round, but then someone goes, hang on a second, it's going to take me 6 months to get that money back to you. Okay. So you end up losing out very quickly. So be very, very careful of that. Don't be impatient. There will be no shortage of Skoda Octavias when they come out. But you can order, I suppose, if you want to. You can at least register your interest in one, at least, I'm sure. Michael Carton. Hi, Bob. A bit of a strange one. Oh, I like the strange ones, Michael. Strange ones get me. Here we go. Here, tell me your troubles. But isn't it true that bird droppings are bad for car paint work, or am I wrong? No, you're right. Going crazy washing droppings off my car. Neighbour thinks I'm gone crazy. No, you're not. And there's three good reasons behind that. Bird droppings, poo in general, be it cat, dog, mouse, human, doesn't matter. Full of acid, it's full of stomach acids and breakdown of bacteria of all kinds of stuff come out of it. It is the waste byproduct of any animal. It will eventually seal itself to your paint and will start to discolor the paint. So if your car is black, you get these kind of a white blotchy look to it. Also in bird droppings can be seed. Bigger birds usually, but still you're going to get seeds and bits, and some of them are purple. If they're eating berries off the trees, you get purple droppings and stuff, and it makes bits of your car. So yes, definitely get out there and make sure that's washed off your car. Now wash it off, a lot of water. Try not to use too much acidic soap, so don't use washing up liquid or any of that sort of stuff, that thing that breaks it down. Don't scrub it off either. Don't get a big cloth and just scrub it off or scrape it off. Just try and wash it off with some water. You can use a high-powered steam washer if you want, or a high-powered washer of some sort. That's fine. But don't leave it on for longer than maybe 24 or 48 hours. After a week or so, it will start to discolor the paintwork. Shane Colton, what are your thoughts on flipping cars? I like the content and the idea, but I don't know what's the catch. What's flipping cars? Is that your man, the ad? No, that's not flipping cars, is it? I don't know what flipping cars is, so I'm not sure what that means. I know that Mike Brewer used to do a thing where he was trading up, which is something like flipping cars. I don't know if those old school video TV things work anymore. I'm not sure. I think people are just kind of interested in that instantaneous hit of content. And this is why YouTube is so successful. They're not willing to invest the time in a whole series of things. And I know I'm talking about TV as well. There's TV shows coming at me now. People are asking me, do I want to do TV shows? I keep going, not really, no. But there's one or two around the edge that are pretty good, that are people I trust as well. The problem is with a TV show, I edit my stuff. I do all my stuff. I film my stuff and I edit my stuff. So there's a disconnect when you hand it away to somebody else. You film something, and I've done that. Somebody else films it and then it disappears and it goes into someone else's hands, and then it comes back and you don't like it. What do you do then? Like, you kind of go, that's crap, but it's me in it. It's hard that way. Whereas when I'm the editor, I can sit down and go, no, just cut a little bit off. I don't like that. And that happens a fair lot. John McAlinden says, hope you're all healthy and safe. Good wishes, John. Thank you very much. Garrett Hussey, afternoon. Thank you. I know a man called Peter Hussey from Naas. You related? Just wondering. He's a theatre director in Naas. I worked in VTOS with him on theatre stuff. Stephen Carney, hi Bob, hope all is well. Just want to say a massive thanks for the Sunday Service community for helping me with my college thesis. It's massively appreciated. No problem at all. We did a little survey for him on his college thesis and answered the pilot questions, and it all worked very well. And all of the boys on the Sunday Service Facebook page did that one. If you can join that, if you want, it's I think it's linked down below. If you want to click on that, go over to our Facebook. It's a private group, so you can talk about whatever you want. It's just be cars, but you can ask any questions you want or bring your information, whatever. Just let myself or Andy know. We're the bosses there, or he's the boss. Andy's the boss there. I'm not really the boss at all. I don't really pay attention. And on this is Eric and Andy, and they're the bosses. John Hughes, hi Bob. Did you make an announcement about Tesla? Just wondered. Make that announcement about Tesla? Did I make that announcement about Tesla? What Tesla announcement? Tesla had an announcement? They bought a village or something. I remember seeing that, but I don't know what else they're doing. Don't know. Announcement, no. Don't know. Aaron says it bought a 171. I saw your picture actually of the 171 Passat 2-litre TDI 150 DSG Highline. Good man. Even with that, I know about cars. I found myself watching your review back in 2015. Get your opinion. You were not wrong. Very smooth. Yeah, it is. It really is. It's the best Passat has ever been. And I actually thought about making a video about the Passat I have and calling it a love letter to the Passat, because it's one of those cars that's not, it's not anything, yet it's something. It's not really a big status symbol, yet it's very cool. It's just an odd car, and it seems to tick every single box in the whole world. It's comfortable, long range, short range, it's big, it's roomy, you get plenty of stuff in the back, you can bring your girlfriend for a drive, you know, the kind of stuff that you get up to in cars. It's one of those cars that people buy and keep buying and buy another one and they never get sick of it. It's a weird sort of a car, and I don't know why that segment is kind of dying now. It'll come back, but it's kind of dying right now. My phone just buzzed there with something. Mark O'Reilly has pledged money on Patreon. Now, see, I enabled the chat things on my phone so I could see when that happens, because Patreon is like a foreign object. I can't get that. And someone else, hold on a second here now. David McCarthy has sent money by PayPal. Thank you very much, David McCarthy. Very good. That's very good of you all. You're very good, very generous. It's great to keep you all occupied as much as we possibly can. It's this independent stuff you all crave, and I crave it as well, because I find it very, people just make videos today and they don't really give you an opinion or say anything or do anything. They don't do lives, that's for sure. Someone asked me to tidy up the background. If you look at the background of this shot, that's my brain. I know where every cable in the place, I know exactly where it is. If I tidied it up, I'd never find them again. It's that moment where you're looking at a man shed and going, God, I can't tidy that away. If I tidy that away, I'll never find it again. I wouldn't either. I just realized somebody moved a book back there and I'm going, somebody moved a book. Bob, how do you think the car market general will change post-COVID? Well, it's the lack of money will be the first thing. The lack of cash in people's pockets right now, that the car has become a second thought to everything else. A lot of people are very unsure about their job, whether it will stay open in the long term. They're also, business themselves is very unsure about whether they can go forward or they might have to go backwards. So there's this idea that we're starting to break the lockdown now and it's all happening, it's great. But what if we get an increase in cases and it goes back up the other way and all of a sudden we're back to square one, we're back into the lockdown situation? That's going to mess things up massively. So we need to be really aware of that. We need to give people reassurance that work is going to start again. We're going to get back to work. We're going to get back thinking. You're going to have to market yourself very, very well as a car dealership, but you're also going to have to pay attention to what do people want. Do they want to come to your showroom? Would they buy a car if they sat at home watching a Zoom call like this? Is there some way you can get people to not try to oversell? Is there some way when you can get people to dealership and a sales staff inside the dealership to not have just quite so much pressure to try and get quality sales, so you get your figures coming by people driving out the door being very happy, recommending you, walking away? That's the kind of stuff you really want. If you look at the way Tesla do it, they pre-sell their cars online for a fee, and then you can cancel at any time and you can do all, but it works for them. You don't actually have to go to a dealership to see the car. You don't. It's all available online. You can see all the reviews and not reviews, all those brand ambassadors who aren't really brand ambassadors out there talking about the cars. It's that very, very carefully orchestrated move that ordinary dealership have to get to survive. If they don't do it, they're just not going to survive. And if you don't embrace this modern technology I'm talking about right now, this Zoom or Skype or something else, and I don't mean you get Larry in the back there who makes tea most days or is the junior sales staff to go, sure, stick on a bit of Zoom there. Should we get it all? Sorry. No, invest a bit of money in it. Invest a bit of time in it. Invest in getting a camera. Get someone like me involved or someone else involved in who actually understands what that means to your business. And if you just get in touch with me, I'll sort it out for you one way or the other. Be grand. Alan Burke says, my question keeps getting removed. Well, I'm not removing it, so I know nothing about it. Sorry about that. Barry Loftus, Bob, do you think driving tests will resume in the next few weeks, month? They're bloody better. If they don't, Barry, it's going to be a disaster zone. It's a pent-up amount of people out there who need to get in the car to get a job. You can't, in this country, in all good conscience, if you live outside of Dublin and you want a job and you don't have a car, you may forget it. And if you don't want to work on a Centra here in Portlaoise, you may forget that one as well, right? It's either Centra or SuperValu or Aldi or Lidl or whatever in the town. And if you live in a town, fair play. 36,000 people out living in Portlaoise. But if you live outside of Portlaoise, you haven't a hope of getting a job without a car. And if you haven't got a license, how do you get the car to get to the job? It's a roundabout thing, but it has to be done. Liam, and if we had a proper minister for transport, we would already have figured out a way of doing driving tests and driving licenses and resuming business as normal. It really isn't that hard. Lee Mycroft, given how many people have been caught at COVID checkpoints without insurance tax, do you think the time to roll in automatic fines via ANPR like the UK has? Not really, not really. I'm mildly opposed to the automated system of things, and the reason I say that is not out of nastiness. The automated systems give you no opportunity to be right or wrong or any grey area whatsoever, and human life exists in the grey. Human life, human existence is all about the grey area. It's nothing to do with black and white. Humans don't do that. We don't do right or wrong. We do kind of, well, it's a little bit right. That's what we really do. So the ability to have an interaction with a guard, the ability to be able to have an interaction with the Gardaí in general, often lowers your pressure zone. It often gives them a chance to talk to you and get to know who you are and what you're like. And it gives you a chance to explain your reason or rationale behind it. If you take away that interaction, you make an us and them situation. You make a situation where they are the guards and we are against them. And that's it. And that's what happens with ANPR, and that's what happens all this sort of stuff. The ones that are very good at employing that are the ones where the guards or the police in the UK are driving around with it in their car and they can see it on the red plate and then they pull people over and the interaction happens again. But the automated system, I'm not a big fan of. I'm really not a fan of roadside Gatso vans, of cameras that have been hidden in ditches. I think they're nasty, nasty yokes, just designed to catch you every single time. And I don't think we should be catching people. We need to prevent people. We need to make it socially unacceptable to drink and drive, to drive while on the phone, to drive without insurance, to drive without tax. You just make it socially unacceptable, and then instantaneously it pans out across the entire world. That's how we did it with the smoking ban. We made it socially unacceptable to smoke near the door of the pub, so everybody moves further away from the door now. We just made these things socially unacceptable and they work fine. Mark O'Reilly says, I received an update on the ID3. Oh, wow, you're one of the few in the world who's got that one. Dealer to contact me prior to the 17th of June to arrange the order. Still expected the end of summer. Let's hope they pull the finger out and try and get that done, because a lot rests on the future of the ID3. You have to imagine that Volkswagen Group have invested a shed load of cash on this. And I was reading an article this morning, and I told you last year, I actually said here on the Sunday service last year, that Dyson was getting involved in the electric cars, and I told you it was doomed to fail. I told you it was going to happen. I could even predict how much money needed to be spent to happen. So essentially, they spent, can you imagine a waste of money? What a waste of money. £500 million was spent on the Dyson electric car that is now gone. It's gone. Forget about it. They've seen a prototype thing, and I'm sure it's brilliant and all, but it's gone now. It's all dead. I don't know why they spent so much money on it, but they spent a lot of money on it. 500 million. And they give up. He says because he could go no further. I'm telling you, because they run out of money. They were trying to catch up on Tesla. Tesla has been dodgily messing around with his share prices for quite some time and did hostile takeovers. He's not the nice, benevolent chap he makes himself out to be, this Tony Stark chap. I guarantee you he's a lot nastier than that. But he's got himself in a position where he can spend money to develop the cars, because underneath, generally speaking, they're all basically the same. And he does tax write-offs and stuff in funny ways on SpaceX and all that. And Raymond Grace, thank you very much. Sent money by PayPal. You're very good. And Mark O'Reilly, thank you very much for becoming a patron on the Patreon channel. You're very good. You're all grilled. I love you guys. You're so good. John Paul Williams says, lads, we need a lockdown gone. Yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. I know I'm one of the very few in the world that's probably quite enjoying it, but I actually quite enjoy it because I found time to be with me in this head, which is a very rare thing. Up until probably March this year, my brain was just everywhere. I had so much stuff going on. There was so much stuff happening. There was flying out everywhere, and the YouTube channel was growing exponentially, and Ray Darcy's show was calling, RTE was calling, and this other TV show was calling. And then this came, and it's just kind of, and you think, oh no, it's all stopped, and there's all that money going to come from? Where's all the things? But you know what? I found so much time in a day. You see the documentary stuff, there's actually more videos than there was before the lockdown. It's growing. beautiful. It's a lovely time right now. We'll never have this time again with our families, with our friends, with around where we're sitting. This Zoom chats, you'll miss the Friday night round table chat that you have with a pile of buddies doing stuff. You'll miss the pub quiz that I'm arranging for motoring journalists here in Ireland. I'm also arranging pub quiz for you lot as well on Zoom. Get that, lads. You never get this service anywhere else. I'm going to be inviting, it'll be through Facebook. I'll put up the link on Facebook. So join the Facebook group and I'm going to arrange a pub quiz, not a car related, just general knowledge pub quiz for everybody who wants to join on Zoom. It'll be a bit of crack. Now, it could end up being 3,000 people, but that's okay. I'm sure that Jared will work it out for me somehow or another. Footy Ferrari. Hi, Bob. Any ideas what cars you're getting this week? No, I haven't a clue. Whatever turns up, because I'm not going to collect anything. Something will turn up outside the door, though. I think it's going to be a Toyota, but I don't know what one. TS says, never buy a car without test driving it first and without watching several reviews on it. And I don't just mean my review. I mean, get information. Go look at Irish Times, at Top Gear, at Car Wow, all of them. Look at them all and see what they all do. They all say the same thing. If they all say it's a bit cramped in the back, oh, I don't like that button there, and every one of them saying the same thing, I guarantee when you get in the car, you're going, I don't like that button there. It's a bit cramped in the back. You know, it's you get a level, and there's no competition on YouTube, so you get a level of stuff and you find out what it is. But your own test drive is vitally important as well. Really, really, really important, because if something annoys you on the very first test drive, you will never get over it. You will never, ever get over that moment. You'll think about that little noise you heard on the back, or the little creak, or the little handle that didn't work, or something in the car. You go, I know, I'll fix it for you. No, it'll never be the same. Never. Aaron Milan says, PSA have cancelled. We start that again. It's 30,000. Did you? PSA, that's Peugeot Citroen Alliance, Peugeot and Citroen all that group, have cancelled 30,000 production slots for this year, and a certain large dealer group told us that if they're not ordered already, you won't get it in 2020. That's the cuts. PSA, was it 6 years ago or 7 years ago? I can't remember what it was. Whatever it was, PSA dumped 30,000 jobs they cut from their group. And then we're on the way to recovery. They were doing pretty good. They were getting themselves back on their feet again. And then this happens. Then it's like, whoa, hold on a second. They invested a lot of money in the electric end of stuff. They had the Peugeot E208. But on the Citroen side of it, there's a Citroen version of that car as well. On the Opel side, they have an Opel car as well. They just bought Opel. Peugeot and PSA have been bailed out by the French government a number of times. There is a ton of cash gone into that company. And now they just, as Aaron says, cancelled 30,000 production slots. That's 30,000. Production slots is kind of weird, but 30,000 production slots is actually more production slots than you've got. You know what I mean? It's more than cars. There's an awful lot more to it as well. So that's 30,000 parts that would have been bought elsewhere. That's 30,000 everything. So just multiply that out and it keeps on going. So if you're looking to order a brand new car tomorrow in a Peugeot, ask when you're going to get it, because it might be 2021. Nan McHugh says, hi Bob, any word on the Mad Max video, or is copyright too much of a pain? Copyright is too much of a pain. I'll be dead honest with you. I went through the nightmares of nightmares with the James Bond stuff. Had the video made and it sat there for a month while it cleared through copyright systems. 28 days I had to wait for it just to clear down so I could even publish it. And then I made a second one and that went straight into copyright again. And you're sitting there going, that's the amount of effort, like the humongous, and it is big effort, because you look through every video, try and tell the story and trying to research the whole thing, but just the copyright stuff surrounding James Bond. And then I might do the Mad Max one all the same, because I actually have, believe it or not, I got in touch with the production company behind Mad Max, the group shot, to ask them about their Mad Max Fury Road and the second video and stuff. And I have a little bit of permission from them to use some of the footage, but I can't use it all. So it'll come. We'll see if I can get that one done. The documentaries are unique and I can make them separately. Scott Middlehurst, good afternoon, Bob and Chad. I'm answering questions 2:11, by the way. So I'm already a half an hour behind. Oh my God, I'm already way behind you. Anyway, last week you got a comment saying, could I not speed through the questions? But sure, that defeats the purpose of being the Sunday service, which is me just sitting here answering questions. Everybody gets a mention, everybody. But if you want your question answered right now, this very second, super chat. Johnny Dub says, Bob, when do you expect to see the end of 12 volt? Loads of manufacturers, Audi, etc., developing 48 volt. Lithium-ion battery system with the alternator starters that can whack loads of charge back into the battery. And the problem is everything that 12 volt does is still being made. So all the connections, all the distribution of that 12 volt power from a standard 12 volt battery, all the parts are still being bought in. They have to stop doing it. So you have to step down from that production, and your suppliers have to step up to be able to supply you with 48 volt version of that. It will come. I mean, we were at the Ideal Home Show, and one of the lads had a car in the electric car in the Ideal Home Show, but people are opening and closing doors all day long, and it actually flattened the 12 volt battery, and the car couldn't be jumped because it didn't have jump leads, and it was a battery powered car with a full charge, but the charger, the battery of the big car would not start the small car. So it's weird. You couldn't get the thing going because the 12 volt battery was dead, which is just strange to see an electric car with one of the batteries dead. But we will get to a situation where those 48 volt batteries will start to take over. We'll have the alternator system, but I still think it's going to be another couple of years before that settles in. There's just so much stuff that's developed, that's even in like parts distribution, all the entire network behind it that develops and maintains and manufactures stuff directly for 12 volt cars. So I can't see it going for another few years. I think some of the ultra modern stuff will go 48 volt. Maybe like the 2 generations from now, Audi A6 or something will get 48 volt battery, won't have a starter motor, and it'll still have a petrol hybrid, diesel hybrid engine or something in it. Mark Howells Prescott says, good afternoon, Bob. Hope you're well and the family. Best regards, Mark. We are all fit and healthy. No bother at all. We have had no sickness in the house at all, actually, in fairness. Apart from my bleeding injured shoulder, which I'm not injured. I'm getting a cramp in my shoulder when I do exercise enough. A lot of that is to do with sitting at the desk here and doing, videos and things. It's been a long time sitting here. Camper van, no, I skipped one. Alan Burke, I am with 123. They charge more than value of my car in 1997. Yeah. My first car was a Datsun Nissan Cherry. I said Datsun Nissan because it was actually manufactured by both. Nissan were just about to buy out Datsun, so there must be some deal at the time to get the boat names on the back. And it cost me £100. It was canary yellow. It was taxed as a 1.3. It actually had a 1.6 litre petrol engine in it. Completely illegal. Somebody swapped out the engine at some point, never to put on a tax book. And my insurance was £2,500 for the first year. Then it dropped dramatically to like £1,500 or £1,300 or something the second year. And then the third year, which I was still a provisional license because I couldn't get a bleeding full license. And the third year it dropped like right the way down to £500 and below it. Like it really dropped away very fast. Campervan Creations, afternoon, Bob. There's somebody at the door. Jamie, thanks, Jamie. He's building a campervan, so head over there and check him out. He's put in side panels from a Peugeot or something. It's a Peugeot panel van. Anyway, Annie McAfee says the Autobahns were built before World War II from early 1930s. They were light years ahead of the world on that. There's great footage online of a Volkswagen Beetle going up the Autobahn before it was open. It's just on its own on like 4 lanes. It's deadly. It's a really good shot, like just from a bridge top. But there's nothing else in the world. If you go back to that era, some of the footage I showed you in the Death of the Diesel Engine and the other one, but Who Killed the Electric Car particularly, you'll see the condition of roads in America. America wasn't long it's been found. Like they were over there rooting about in the place, fighting over it. And America basically had dirt roads and these little skinny tires from horse and carts, and then of course subsequently cars, which use basically cartwheels to start off with, dug slots into the roads. And so a lot of cars couldn't go on these roads. And over in Europe, Germans were building the Autobahn. Like these guys had dirt tracks on one side of the road, the other side of an Autobahn. It's fabulous. Like there's a story in the Autobahn as well. It's another part of a documentary I'm doing too. Irish Foxhound says, I had a friend who was rear-ended in the fast lane on the Autobahn, survived but not the car. I've seen a few, videos. I'm never involved in a bad crash on the Autobahn, but I've seen a few things about the Autobahn saying it's not safe. It is. I've driven the Autobahn multiple times. in everything from like Fiat Pandas up to Audi A6 diesels, big 3 liter yokes. I went to the Autobahn with a driver, a professional race driver guy. No, sorry, he wasn't a race driver guy. He was a professional bodyguard. And we went in a W12 Audi A8 and we went at full chat. And that thing barely made any noise at like nearly 300 kilometers an hour. We were hopping along that road. Amazing. Flashing the lights at like Ferraris to get out of the way. It was so funny. Good driver. Really good driver. Gary says, hi Bob, any word on Android Auto being backported to 2019 Toyota cars? This is a big problem for Toyota. They released a lot of cars in 2018, 2019, particularly CHR, and didn't put in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto into them. Now, the older ones, the CHR had a big problem in that you had to change out the dashboard to put in Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. They managed to succeed in some ways of putting Apple CarPlay in some of them, but Android Auto has been a problem. And I don't have word from it yet as to whether they can put it in Android Auto into the old CHRs. And because I do have an Android phone here and I do have an Apple phone because I test both. Android Auto, I have to say, is a bit crap in comparison to Apple CarPlay. I don't particularly like Apple over Android. Just I think it's a bit kind of childish looking or something. But if you've got an Android phone, it works very well. It does for sure. I have a cheap Android phone. It's $180 or something. It's a Xiaomi Mi A3. Quite an older phone. It'd be 2 years old at this stage, but still pretty good. Big screen on it, and loads of emails in. Hold on, someone else has it in there. John Coleman, our most dependable, the man who keeps the channel really going. John Coleman has donated there again. Thank you very much, John. You're very good. And Sean Farrell has become a new patron as well. Thank you. You're very good, Sean. Footy Ferrari. Hi, Bob. Have you watched the F1 doc series on Netflix? No, I don't have Netflix. I was never really into F1, but the doc is very interesting, showing the behind the scenes of the races. I've never really been into F1 or any sports in general. I don't really follow any sports. So, like, I go into a conversation with a new journalist, on an international trip, and you sit down, and most journalists kind of avoid talking about cars. Some do, some don't. Depends. But we don't generally talk about the car we've been driving all day. So you don't sit down and go, oh, what do you think of the new Golf? And everybody goes, oh, you like it. Nobody says that, right? But when you get into a new conversation with a new person you meet for the first time and they go, did you see the match last week? And I go, what match? Could have been the World Cup. Don't watch it. Don't know. Or the F1. Do you watch the F1? No, I don't watch the F1. It ends badly. But I don't. I like documentaries about stuff. I haven't seen that one though. No, I don't have Netflix. Hold on. We had a hop on there. Thanks there. Haven't saw that one out. Talk amongst yourselves. Back in a second. Don't worry. Alan Burke. Hi, Bob. Is the Audi A3 best looking car in the scene? The saloon version in blue with certain alloys is gorgeous in Audi A3. Still one of my favourite, proportionally wise, beautiful, and bonus points, the designer's Irish. David Caffrey is the name of the designer. He's from Dublin, been working for Audi for a good number of years. Met him on a couple of launches. We got very drunk. He goes very Irish on me when he gets a few pints in him. But he's very, very nice. Great guy. I did an interview with him on the original Audi A3 launch. He's still designing the Audi A3. We still keep in touch. But definitely, it's one of my favourite, proportionally looking, beautiful cars. Sits very well on its wheels, would be the way to say that one. I would say in that category, it probably is. All the Mercedes have done some nice stuff with the CLA. There's quite a nice looking car as well. Still find it a little bit tight on the interior compared to the Audi A3. I still think the Audi A3 has it on that front, on space inside. But yeah, pretty much. BMW don't really do a car in that range. I know there's a 1 Series, but that's not quite the same. John Paul Williams, we can do something about it, Bob. We can bring the Ford plant back to Cork. That would be brilliant. Honest to God. If we could do some car assembly in this country, we'd just, get our heads together and actually do something in that respect, because we were the dominant force in Europe on car assembly. We had all of the rights. You couldn't sell a Mercedes in the UK unless it was assembled in Ireland first. That's no joke. That's true. That's in the book back there. Wheels and Deals. It's really good. It's really a smart idea, but we gave away all that. Fine Gael gave away all that on us. Hitster just watched Bjorn range testing a Taycan. He got 420 k out of it by driving at 90 kmph. But you know, Hitster, honest to God, I would rather be hit by a plane than drive everywhere at 90 kilometers an hour. Like, who wants to do that? Who seriously wants to take 2 hours to drive to work instead of 1 hour to drive to work? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. The idea that we take an electric car and we drive it as far as we can till it runs out of electricity, and that's some sort of a test or other, is insane. No one has ever tested a petrol or diesel car like that. So stop doing it. You're just causing heartbreak, because someone buys a Taycan, they drive it, they get 300 kilometers for it and go, no, he lied. It makes no sense. That's why fuel economy on petrol and diesel cars, like when I quote you, quote what I get, because if I quote every one of them over time, you figure out stuff about how the car behaves and who does what and where they go to. And then people, well, he said that one did 5 kilometers and I'm getting 6.5, and it says that in the dashboard. But this idea that we just drive, like, I don't ever test a diesel car here so to see how far it'll go. There's an annoying thing about that yoke. When it's charging and you touch anything, it just turns into, what can I do for you today? Nothing. Just open up and show me the emails. John McAlinden says the Chinese are in the position they are the only because it has suited Western. Okay, so the Chinese are in the position that they're the only manufacturers of things because it suited Western industrialists for the last 40 years. Yes and no. The Chinese don't invade people. So the Chinese, over all of the years and years and years, and I've said this loads of times here, it's not racist in any way, just the Chinese don't go to war physically, right? What they do is they buy things. They turn up and they buy shares in your business. They buy more shares till eventually they basically own you anyway. And that's how they operate. The Indians do something very, very similar. The Indians bought Volvo, you know, and they've been pushing into that European franchise all along. So they don't, it's not a war thing. It's not that. It's that the Chinese have the ability to be able to manufacture things for next to nothing. It is a communist-driven country. Their politicians is a communist party at heart, their ethos behind it. So if they decide they're going to build a tower of flats out the front of my house tomorrow, there's nothing at all I can do about that. They're just going to build it. If they have to move me out, they will. That's what's going to happen. If they have to bulldoze the house with me in it, they can do that as well. Because it's a communist system over there, that's the way they operate. So they can make things. You build your beautiful little phone, you think it's the greatest phone in the entire world, and the first thing the Chinese do is take a picture of it and they make their own version of it. I see them at the car shows all the time. You'll find them under cars with their cameras pointing up at little things, and you find them opening and closing doors, and they're on the phone, they're videotaping absolutely everything about the car because they're going off to copy it. That's what they do. They're not inventors, they're copiers, but they're brilliant at copying. Footy Ferrari says, with Aviva, no word on insurance returns. I think am I not with Aviva? Who's the ones that, no, with AXA. I think I'm with AXA. The one that has actual physical shops. You know, you can go into little stores and things. That's the one I'm with anyway. Not because of the physical shops, just because I keep seeing them everywhere and they were the cheapest as well. The Ballymoiler Spudator. That's a very Irish name. You couldn't get a whole lot more Irish than that name. Thinking of a used Fiat 500 or Panda, buy the Panda, don't buy the 500. For my daughter's first car, but I'm apprehensive about Fiat reliability. There's no problem with Fiat reliability. Which of the two would you recommend and what should you look out for when inspecting one? Okay, so it's the Panda is the one to go for. The 500's okay, but you find the limit of the 500 very, very quickly. It's a tiny 2-door, 3-door hatchback thing that was developed for city life. It's designed to be in a city. It's designed to be parked, you know, arse end to a parallel space. It's designed for, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant car. But if you're in Ireland and you're living in the countryside somewhere, the Panda is going to be much better, right? It's not much bigger, being honest with you, but you'll get 4 people in it very comfortably. It's got back doors, it's got a proper boot. Your daughter's going to have a lovely time in that car when she's going for a spin out. Everyone's going to be happy in it. Looking out for stuff, wear and tear is the number one thing on all cars. Forget that it's a Fiat, forget to fix it again tomorrow. That stuff is all dead and gone. But what you are looking for is rattles, rust, tire wear. Uneven tire wear is a good one to look out for as well. So when you look at the outside of a tire, you look at the rim on the side of it, you're only looking at about 25% of the actual tire tread. You have to get down on your side and look at the side of the tire, the whole width of it. If it's worn on the inside, not on the outside, there's something wrong with steering arms inside, there's something wrong with the tracking on the car, all kinds of things. If it's the same wear on the other tire, then there's something wrong with the tracking on the car. Relatively cheap to fix, but it's a negotiable point. So when you walk up and go, the tracking's off and that's going to cost me 100 quid to fix that, then you get 200 quid off the car. You start to work yourself out that way. But I would go to Panda. Panda is one of my all-time favorite cars. Fiat completely missed the ball on that one. Great car, really, really reliable, and plenty of room inside. And you won't mind a wet afternoon sitting in it, and it'll be safe. A 5-star car as well, or well, was 5-star car when it was tested, so it'd be pretty good. Go for that one. Fiat 500 is done and dusted. Looks old at this stage. Steve O.C. says, my 8-year-old daughter said she hates China because her community got cancelled. She's not happy. Not stopping her getting made in China paddling pool. Everything's made in China. It's not the country, it's the ethos, it's the wet markets, it's the Oh, there's so much out there that China is like a 10-speed economy. You've got really super rich people on one end of the scale, and on the other end of the scale, you got horses and carts moving stuff around the country. It's still delivering. It's just a weird system they got over there, and it doesn't help that they use wet markets. And from what I'm aware, talking to other Chinese people, and this comes from Chinese people, by the way, that they basically eat anything that lives. So dogs, cats, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just eat it. Cross 13 is in the house. Command Cross is here as well. Can also answer all your electric questions and multiple other ones. A very knowledgeable chap. Ocean Froggy. Our poor Sir Winston Churchill. Give him jolly good break and hooray. Huh? Winston Churchill treated Ireland absolutely horrendously. Go look at that. He's a hero now, of course, but his treatment of the Irish people and Irish life in general was very poor. Annie McPhee says Cuba has a better climate to prolong life of metallic vehicles. True, very dry, dusty climate. That's why if you're looking to buy an old classic car, an old European classic, I'll give you a bit of advice. Middle Spain, south of France, in from the coast a little bit. Middle Spain, though, is very good. But other places like, if you're going to get something from America, be very careful if you buy things from around the coast, like Florida or anything like that. Anywhere that lives by the coast, any car that lives by the coast tends to rust from the top down rather than the bottom up, which is what most other cars do. So you get rust on the roof panels and things in around places that is very like Bray or very well exposed areas like Wexford tends to rust from the top down, which is kind of weird. Don't forget to click the like button if you wouldn't mind. It's really good. You can support the channel as well with super chats, with PayPal, Patreon, any of those sort of things. You want to support it. But the most important part is click the subscribe button. Subscribe is it. We're already an hour in. It's the fastest couple of hours of the week, this is. Colin Wheel is here. Well, Bob, any more documentaries coming? Really enjoyed the last. Yeah, number of them. I have 4. There's now 4 in production. No, 2 in production and 2 in pre-production. So research is continuing on 2 more that are out there, and then there's 2 that are now that I'm filming. They're bits filmed and I'm legally checking the Tesla one, just to make sure. Because anyone who's living, obviously, if someone's alive, you can libel them. So you can defame them in some way. And as Tesla tends to sue people for next to nothing, I don't want to be sued. So, and I do make some, not claims, evidential claims, I would call them. Sean Howarth. Hello, Bob from Hamburg in Germany. Hello, Sean. Colin Whelan. On getting quotes, I got up a standard email. You can do that as well. Emails aren't quite as, you can do it. Sometimes they're good at responding to them. If you're working through a broker, you can do the emails. They can be pretty good because they're still one-to-one. You can follow it up with a call in a couple of weeks' time, but I still prefer the phone call to get the ultimate quote, because you can hit people and kind of go, nah, you're too expensive. I'd rather have it like €60 cheaper than that. And they go, oh, I can see what I can do, because now you got a target to go for. But if you go online, price comparison sites, worthless. They're useless. Stay away from them. And if you're going to the actual website belonging to the insurance company, you're at the same problem. You're never going to get a decent quote off them. Richard Cullen, thank you very much. Donating by Super Chat there. You're very kind. Didn't ask a question to go with it. You can buy a question if you want. Buying a question means you go straight to the top of the queue of questions. Now answering question 25 past 2. Still not catching them. I get there. Mini eggs. Happy Sunday, Bob. What cars do you have in your lockup? What's your next car reviews? Currently have CHR, which I did the review of the other day, is on the channel. That's the latest one out. About 5,500 people watched that one. I still have the Passat, which I still adore. I really love that car. It's just a straightforward, easy to live with car. And there's another couple of cars that I'm storing for other people that I can't talk about. But some of them are like rare. But I'm not going to make reviews of them around. Just a few people use my couple of lockup sheds during this time because they can't try their cars anyway. They want somewhere dry to put it. And the sheds are hermetically sealed. So there's no air going in around them. Brian Lilly, I have a 181 Civic. Now is a good time to change for a new one. Will dealers be offering incentives to start moving units? Assume Honda Swindon will shut down. Now, there's a few things going on in that question, Brian, being honest with you. Number one, now is a good time to change your car because there will be offers. Two, there's a bit of a pent-up demand thing that I was reading about recently that I'm not sure is actually there. I think that's wishful thinking on behalf of the dealerships, that they want people to have a pent-up demand for cars. I think there's a pent-up demand for used cars. I think people want to get a car going right now and they're not willing to spend top dollar for a brand new yoke. So I think there's a pent-up demand for that used segment. But new, not so sure about. At the same time, if a car company or a dealership has it in stock, then that's where you can nail them. They want to get rid of the stock. The stock costs money. If you're not in business, you won't really get this. But if you're in business, you'll understand what I'm talking about. When you take some piece of stock off the shelf and you replace it with its cash value, that's what's costing you. So if a car is standing there and it's standing you 20,000 euros, that's 20,000 liquid cash that you can't touch because it's physically there in a car in front of you. So they want to turn their stock. Turning their stock is the most important thing that any dealership does, or any business does for that matter. Turning your stock is all you ever really want to do. So you buy in something for 100 quid, you sell it for 150 quid. That's turning your stock. That 50 quid is profit, another 100 goes into another product. That's how business works. It's pretty straightforward. That's why I don't believe we should be bailing out airlines. I don't believe we should be bailing out these big multinational, massive companies that can access huge amounts of cash in loan versions from anywhere. They can get it all over the place. British Airways could easily swan into some hedge fund and get a lend of £250 million off them and float themselves, no problem, instead of bailing them out. I think that's the way it should be. Business should be allowed to do what business does, which is sometimes fail. That's how business operates. But as I'm coming to the singular last point of that, which is Honda Swindon will shut down, it does seem that way. I'm not sure whether that's going to turn out well for Swindon or not. It's a scary position for any car company to be in, but right now the car companies are in like close down mode. It's very, very hard to negotiate your way through this when you're trying to, it's not stock of 100 quid returning, it's stock of 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. It's big numbers and that's hard to deal with. So it's very difficult for them to exist. Same as Honda here in Ireland as well. Eric Rochard, a very generous chap. Thank you very much, Eric Rochard. You're very kind. Sent money by PayPal, Patreon, and all these other words I would say. Terry Atkinson, to the lad thinking about getting a Fiat Panda or 500, I would pick the Panda. See, I'm not alone. Simple car that's been out for years. Easy to get parts for as well, by the way. Dopey Tripod says e-bike option. E-bike is an option. E-bike can be done under the bike to work scheme, so you can get some grant back off it. They are a bit expensive though. I do find e-bikes at about 1,500 quid. Like that's a lot of money for a bike. Like unless you need an e-bike. If I was older and not fit, I would think about an e-bike. If I was commuting every day, so, you know, a fairly long commute, I'd certainly e-bike is a great way to go. That'd be brilliant at that point because you take the effort out of cycling. But if I was doing fitness, like I'm doing with like the Joe Wicks workouts or running or cycling or whatever, my bike is just a bike. It's just a race bike. It's actually a Skoda race bike, but it's a race bike and that's it. Robert Doyle, Bob, what's your opinion on the Renault Fluence first edition? My uncle got a 2011 1.5 DCI 110 PS highest spec for $3,000, a bargain. It's a bargain. That's the key. That's where Renault have changed recently. They're not so much of a bargain anymore. But the Renault Fluence, big car, grand engine, a 1.5 DCI will go around the clock. It really is totally dependable. It's all right. It's a bit noisy, but for $3,000, like $3,000 for 2011. What could be really badly wrong about it? It is not a great looker, but it's not a bad car either. It was actually one of the first cars I reviewed on this channel. I think the video is still up. I think it is. I can't remember. Anyway, I still have to I can still see. I can always remember every single video I've ever made what I was wearing. It sounds sad now, but I have a funny way of remembering the car and what I was actually wearing. And I'm actually wearing a sort of a not a Pepsi t-shirt. It's a headphone t-shirt. I still have it here. Um, Irish Foxhound says regarding the shares to one's wall on Facebook, is that one's wall watching this could share it to their walls, thereby spreading your. Yes, that you could do that. You could go to take the link from this page, go to your Facebook page, and share the link to this page, and it will play on your Facebook page. So yeah, sure, you'll bring up the viewers for certain. But I like my 5,000 and 6,000 people to come here to the YouTube. Thank you very much for everybody for joining. It's weird to have a Sunday radio show, TV radio show, and not have any ads or any break or any, like an ad break or anything. I know, I'm sure YouTube probably insert an ad here and there. I know they certainly litter the ads in after the thing was on replay. They put so many ads in that I had to delete the bleeding ads out. I really did. It was just ads every 5 minutes in a 2-hour stream. It seems stupid. Sean Murray, hi Bob. What is your opinion on the best small SUV around at the moment? I know there's a lot of them, but I would value your opinion. Okay, Volkswagen have a couple of really good ones. Depends. Tiguan has always been a really dependable one, but it's not really small. It's actually quite a big yoke. Skoda also do the Kamiq. Is it the Kamiq? Was a smaller one, which is a really good car. I do find it a little tiny bit odd looking, but it's still a good car. The Toyota CHR, which is what I'm driving right now, is really good. A bit small on the inside, but if you're looking for something really small and you're just a couple or you only have small kids like babies, it'll be fine. CHR is fine, really economical as well, and does a good old job. If you're looking for something electric, I would go to Kia e-Niro, would be the one I'd be looking at there. I think it's a pretty good car. It's nice enough to drive. But there is an awful lot of them out there. Yeah, you're dead right. But anything Volkswagen, the ones that are king of that segment right now, this moment, is Volkswagen and Skoda. They kind of changed place. They're both basically the same cars inside, but they're still the king of, they just work. They just work. And they're really good looking cars, are handsome yokes as well. Annie McPhee, share far and wide. Share far and wide, he says. You're dead right. Tony S. Bob, Volkswagen are opening 3ID Experience Center in Dresden this week. Customers have an opportunity to sit and look at all real ID3 car models and place purchases. Well, we all got to sell cars one way or the other. That's the difficult part. We should be driving these cars. I should be testing these cars, and we just can't because nobody wants to fly us anywhere. That's the scary bit, is they don't want to send us off over to places on planes. Plus, there's no flights anyway. But Germany has changed their lockdown system, so they've calmed down a small bit. So that's why they're getting a chance to do that. At the same time, we'll see what they say about it. These are still pre-production. These are still the ID3s, the experience centers they're looking at will still be cars that aren't the ones that end up in showrooms. Cars will still be refined up to the point that they're sold. So I'd love to have a spin on one just to see what it's like. I want to see what their drivetrain is like. I want to see what the suspension setup. This is Volkswagen, a car company who make good cars, making an electric car. That's the key of that. Where Tesla had to learn how to make a car. And they've had to learn. They had to learn by buying a Lotus part at the beginning and making their mule. That was all their learning curve. They had to learn how to build a car. They were a software company that makes cars, whereas Volkswagen already know how to make a good car. Ocean Froggy got my full license back in '79 as part of the 3 provisional full license trick. First speeding ticket, the guard had looked at me and asked, were you one of the 1979 amnesty licenses? Got a HGV test. See, this is Ireland. This is how Ireland works. Tom O'Connor says, I'm about to buy a 161 S-Class. Any advice on whether it's the right decision? No problem with that at all, but please check the suspension. They had some errors on the back shocks. There was a recall, if I remember correctly. There was a recall around late 2017 on the back shocks of that, and on something else as well, some sort of a software issue. Make sure the recalls are all done. If it's got a good service history and has like a written service history, not some lad walking out going, I looked after that myself, bud. No, this has got to be written down and registered, and every single service has been done on it. Then yeah, I've no problem with S-Classes. But S-Classes are highly, let's say, they can be like a racehorse, like a top class racehorse. They can go really badly wrong one day, just when you least expect it. But I have no problem with you having an S-Class. I think they're a great car. Total comfort. You waft away 1,000 kilometers an hour and won't even think about it. and you'll enjoy it forever. And a bit of a status symbol as well. It's lovely to pull up outside somewhere and go, I have no excuses to make to you people. I drive an S. And then you don't hear the door close because it's hermetically sealed. So, mini eggs. Do you think the next Superb will get the new Octavia dashboard and seats? Yes. Everything will be homogenized, so to speak. They'll all have their own little unique take on it, but essentially what you're looking at now in the Volkswagens, in the Skodas, will all sort of homogenize into the look of the thing, because it's a hell of a lot cheaper to make one infotainment display and change the software inside than it is to have a bespoke infotainment display, which means that the infotainment is going to be 10 or 12 or 13 inches on every single car, or 9 or 8 or whatever size it is, and they just shape the dashboard around it. So that's essentially what they're going to do. It'll all be basically the same. So the Superb and the Octavia interior will start to look the same. Annie McPhee says, duck poo at work has stripped clean. Ducks are terrible. The stuff they eat, the stuff that's on the bottom, they eat all of the worst stuff inside. They're also terrible rapists. You should look up ducks. They rape on each other all the time. But besides that, duck poo will absolutely destroy your car in every respect. Clear coat. Has stripped the clear coat off his Octavia after being super baked all day summer before last, beginning at the end of the car. Sadly, that's exactly what happens. It bakes on in the heat, and then when you try and wash it off, it takes the clear coat and the paint with it. Water wipes are very good to get rid of bird droppings. Yes, they are. There's a brand, a particular brand as well. You see it in Tesco a lot, and they're called water wipes. So they're 99% water or something, right? And there's like 1% of a cleaner thing in it. And they're actually safe. So you're basically just using sort of a damp cloth, and they're handy to have in the back of the car. Stick them into a little pocket behind the seat. Be all kinds of mess that could be spilled up in one of them things. Don't make any smutty comments now. Shush. You get me demonetized. Steve O.C. says, sun cream even worse for paintwork than bird crap. I've kids' handprints all over my yoke. Yeah, that happens a lot as well. Sun cream is quite corrosive on certain kind of paint. Depends on the color, really. Anything bright color tends to get sun cream, tends to destroy it. And in dark color isn't quite as bad. Opinion on the new, this from Meatball 01100, binary meatballs as well. Option on the new Leon Cooper not coming with a manual gearbox. I think that's awful. That's one of the cars, Cupra, Golf GTI, not so much Golf R, but Cupra and Golf GTI should always have a manual gearbox, unless you live in a city, then you go automatic. But it should always really, if I was buying one used, I would always look for a manual version of them. I would, because it's just more traditional. Even if you're lazy like me, and I'm desperately lazy with these things, but even if you're lazy like me, I would prefer a manual gearbox nose. And I think it's a big oversight, to be honest with you. Zdenko says, hi Bob, does SUV have any advantage over a good, nice estate? None whatsoever. Estates are way better value than any of the SUVs. SUVs are carrying a premium now, which means they've gone up in price. 500, 600, 800 euro more than a saloon or a hatchback version of themselves. An estate offers just every single option you can have for less money. So estates all the way for me. I would buy an estate in the morning. I'd buy a Superb estate, an Octavia estate, a Passat estate, and they're the three that I kind of like the most. I actually like Corolla estate as well. It's a really nice car. Mosh SH. Hi Bob, I recently bought a new car from the UK, but almost got stung on the VAT criteria for new car imports. What are your thoughts on it? Thanks. So the new car imports of a car is it less than 6 months old? It's called a new car in UK terms if you're importing here. It depends on what way you're looking at it. It depends what way you got. Why did you feel the need to go to the UK to buy a new car, essentially? You know, if you live in the UK, fine, and you're moving over here and you're bringing a new car, which that's okay. But there's always a deal to be done in Ireland. There's always. And if like standing in a dealership with a car and saying, listen, I'm going to go to the UK and buy a brand new car, I guarantee you would have got the same deal you would have got over there. So you would have got stung in the VAT anyway. But as far as I'm aware, and I'm no expert on this importing new cars, but if a car is less than 6 months old in the UK, it's considered a new car to be imported here, and you just pay VAT, not VRT. Might be wrong on that, but I think that's the way it is. But it has to be under 6 months old. Jack Cooper, how are you doing? Good, I hope. I am. I can read that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that absolutely amazing? I can read what that said. It's like text speak. Damien Dunn has pledged some money on Patreon. Or am I reading it wrong? Sean Farrell, thank you very much. You're very good. Oh, my lads, you're all dropping in there. That's great. It's nice to have you. And I'll create another Zoom chat for everybody again. Who was at the last ones? Eric was at the last one. He was there. There's a few there. I can't remember whoever. People have usernames here that aren't the same. Eric Rochford is the same in real life. Eric Rochford says higher center of gravity on SUV, more roll on corners and less safe, in my opinion. Estate more practical option, but obviously less fashionable these days. But I think that's kind of good. I prefer to be a little bit less fashionable than to make compromises in what I want to do and how I want to drive something, which is the most important part. Don't forget your dealers are opening again tomorrow. That also means service centers are open tomorrow. So officially, and I know a good few of you have been in touch to tell me that some dealerships have been servicing cars all along, and I did get a few arranged for people as well, particularly frontline workers who needed their car fixed up. I got things sorted out for them along the way, but dealerships and service centers are open tomorrow, lads. They have to modernize. Dealerships are going to have to modernize. The big glass cage you're sitting in right now is going to sink you if you don't modernize and do something about it. Honestly, any dealership wants to get in touch with me after the show, I will guide them through what they need to know and how to get it done, and we'll get it done very quickly and have you set up so you can take Zoom calls, you can take Skype calls, you can be ready for your new customer who does not want to come next or near your showroom to buy a car. Just telling you. I'm talking to people all the time. I'm here every Sunday talking to people. People contact me multiple times during the week. And I'm telling you, the last thing an awful lot of these users and people out there who want to buy cars want to do is to go near a dealership, because it's not because they don't like you, it's because they don't want to feel like they're pressured into something, and they don't want to feel like they have to buy a car today, and they don't want to feel like, you know, they're under the spotlight to buy something this very moment. So just bear that in mind, that you will have to modernize and do it very quickly. And honestly, just get in touch with me. We'll sort out this live stuff so you can get that done for yourself as well. Really doesn't take that long. Robert Doyle says just finished editing on his channel. Robert, you need to promote your channel. I'm happy with you promoting your channel. It's great for you to do it, but seriously, you need to promote not just your channel on my channel and on my Facebook page. Okay, you need to get your audience up, and you need to appeal to your audience. And I advise this for every new YouTuber. If you're a YouTuber out there and you're watching this for 1 second, I need you to think about something. You need to develop an audience who like you, not who like cars. And that's being dead honest with you. The people for the cars, they come and go. Look at my channel. I have nearly 50,000 subscribers, but over 20 million people have watched. So just think about that for a second. They've come because of a car. They came to watch the review of a car, then it disappeared, and no investment into the channel. So you need to develop an audience that likes the person behind the review. That's the secret of Matt Watson, or, you know, that kind of stuff. He would move and he would take an audience with him. That's the scary part. Now, he actually part owns Car Wow, but he's not going to move. But if he did, that's what happens. They fall asunder. Johnny Dub says, I'll send my email address on for the Zoom chat box. Good man, Johnny Dub, would have you anytime, my boy. You drop in here and we'll just go for it. Richard Cullen says service. Yep. I believe Scottish Peter's name is pronounced Urquhart. Is that right? Urquhart? Just let me know. Anyway. What did you replace the Sky HD box with for family entertainment? Vodafone do my broadband and television, and I've had zero complaints from them. Nothing. I've never had a problem for Vodafone. I don't deal with them on telephones. I'm with 3 on telephones, but because they do unlimited everything. Just, they don't give a crap how much data, whether you share it, they don't care. As long as you pay the bill, they don't care. But for television and broadband, it's through Vodafone here. Originally I paid 15 quid a month for television and broadband. That went up to 70, which was the top point, 70 quid for all the channels. Now, I don't do sports or movies or anything, nothing. It's just the kind of normal channels. And recently they phoned me and they dropped it down to 50. So for nothing, I didn't do anything. No difference, just dropped down to 50 for the next 12 months. So I pay 50 quid a month for broadband, which is 130 meg broadband down and 30 meg up. And it's rock stable. Now the exchange is just there. I can see the exchange from my window. So that's why it's rock stable, but it's there. William Hope, as a Scot myself, I would pronounce it Urquhart or Urquhart. There you go. See, we're off pronouncing each other's name. I'm answering question 238. It's now I'm an hour behind you. I'm sorry. I will try and skip through some of these questions, but it's really hard to skip over people because some people only ask one question in the whole time and they're dying for an answer. So you wait till you get there. Get there and eventually. National Scallywag says, I bought a new Forester e-Boxer before the COVID crack kicked off. It's comfortable and spacious, but it's slow, and there's a big lag from putting your foot down the car moving. That's true. That's what I found as well. Subaru's really good, honest cars, just honest thing. Ask Australians or New Zealand people about Subarus. They just go forever, but they are dull, acceleration wise. But they will never break down, and you will never get stranded with it. It will constantly go up Everest, drop off a cup of tea at the top, and drive back down. You'll be fine. Liam Cotter, only bring in cars from the UK that are over 6 months old. There's VAT to be paid if they're under 6 months old. Marginal cars, they're called. There you go. There's your answer. Kieran McLaughlin, what if you want to trade in your car against a new car? Zoom won't work then. Yeah, you know, you'd be surprised. There is always a way to sort it out. I'm telling you, Kieran, without a shadow of a doubt, if dealerships don't modernise within the next 12 days, and days we're talking about here, you will be left dead in the water as a dealership. If you don't modernize and you don't do something, the dealership will be shut. I promise you, because people are going to buy things differently. Look at the change in attitude about going to the shop now. People used to go to the shop every single day. Aldi, Lidl, Tesco. Now they're going once a month. They're queuing up outside. They're prepared. They've their gloves on, mask on. They're standing there. They're prepared. They're staying 2 meters apart. If you don't think that's going to transfer over to a dealership, and people are looking at their cars entirely differently, not like a status symbol, like something they have to keep clean and something they're going to have to pay for when they don't even know if they've got a job in 6 months' time. I'm telling you, this has to alter. It will change. If you don't keep up, you will be left behind and your dealership will be gone. Look at the amount of dealerships who maybe marginally might open tomorrow. They might not last the end of the week if they don't get some sales in. I don't know how to pronounce that. The SDGPC. I am a driving instructor in Scotland. I don't expect to start lessons again until August. There's got to be a way you can do lessons. You put a plastic bag between the two of you. Whatever it is. Whatever keeps the person. Make them drive with their head out the window. We'll get them on the road. I'm joking. Do what you have to do to get through this. You'll always get there eventually. Robert Doyle, does anyone think that it's silly that ice cream vans going around again? Should have to make money somehow. The local one was back around last Wednesday. I think it's extremely silly. But sure, let them on. Just don't buy it and they won't come around again. Jack Cooper, if showrooms open tomorrow, then do you think driving schools will reopen? No, they won't. See, the problem is compact space. So if you're going to do a driving lesson, driving school, or sitting beside somebody that close to somebody, you know, right there, then you've got a problem. You have to put some barrier between the two of you, or you're both going to have to drive around with masks on or something. It's going to be scary. John Carney, who is a driving instructor. So here's the official line. Hi, Bob. Driving tests are a long way off, especially for the car. Social distancing is here to stay, and it's going to be a long time from what we are hearing. People need to be aware of this. Well, you see, that torpedoes the entire car industry, really, because if we're not getting learner drivers through, then we're not getting future purchasers of cars through either. There's the big issue, right? We're going to end up in a point where people won't bother with the license because they're just too old. I do find the older someone gets before they got a license, the less inclined they are to get a license. So people in their 20s, 25 up to 30, if they haven't got a driver license at that point, they're probably not going to bother getting one either. They're just going to leave it go. So you've got this small window of opportunity that happens from 17 to 25 to get people into a driving license situation. After that, they tend to disappear. John Carney continues, perhaps the heavy goods lessons will come back first, but it could be autumn before testing comes back. This is my opinion, but unfortunately, I think it's fairly accurate at the moment. There we are. That's as good as we're going to get. I couldn't drive without a drink. I would crash, says Lord Dr. George Dufort, World HQ in Brussels. That's a good name. I like that name. I'd keep that name forever. Liam Cotter, that's why you still wait till after you both have passed. Yeah. Cross 13, I have passed, I have in the past done a long road trip to reach the 6,000 kilometer limit. John Carney's answering the question. Rob Peters, Urquhart. Peter Urquhart. We're going to call you Urquhart because everyone seems to agree that that's it. Hi, Bob. You better not go to France driving. They hide the speed cameras in the hedges. They do, and in bins. You know the green bins, like an ordinary rubbish bin. You drive along the road. There's four rubbish bins in a row. The first one is the cops one with a bleeding camera sticking out the side of it. They're awful. Then they get home and send you a big surprise. They are awful. They really are a catch me if you can thing in France. Very funny. They put these bleeding speed cameras everywhere. Steve O.C. says, saw a speed van last week, thought entered my head a load of essential workers getting tickets in the post. Yeah, I know. I'm telling you. Catch me if you can. Liam Cotter bought an Audi A6 last November and was 6 months plus a day and 7,000 kilometres on the clock. So know all about it. There you are. You see, that's one of those borderline cars. Andy McAfee has gratefully linked the Sunday Service Community Facebook page. You want to get at that? It's right there. Scroll back at 2:45 p.m. He linked that. So like over an hour ago. Dave McCarthy, my company just surveyed us if we feel we're effective working at home and how we feel about going back to the office following the guidelines. I'd be okay staying working from home forever. 100%, David, I'm with you. If you have yourself, who wants to do that, right? How many workers out there who were office bound, who drove into an office every day, suddenly found themselves working from home? And instead of getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and having a shower and drinking a coffee and getting in the car and driving for 2 hours and driving home for 2 hours in the evening, wrecked, not getting home at 9 o'clock at night, or we're getting up now at 8:30, turning on the computer, nipping downstairs, quick cup of coffee, sitting there in the pajamas and catching up on our emails before even 9 comes around. This is why are we going to an office? And then on the other end of the scale, as a self-employed person, I'd be thinking about this as well. But on the other end of the scale, you got business owners who are going, why have I got an office? I employ two people and I have an office that I have to pay rates on, VAT, insurance and tax and all this stuff. Why am I doing that? Why can't I just make people work from home? I'm getting just as productive as I was before. I can pay people even a little bit less so they can benefit of being at home permanently. No need to worry about you're getting stuck in traffic or being late for work. Just paying for broadband. That's it. So easy. If I was an office worker and I did it for a year up in the Indo, driving in and out to the Indo and flying all over the bleeding world for the Indo actually, but driving to the office as well, I would never do it again. Honest to God, never. It was a soul destroying experience being stuck in traffic for hours. One breakdown in the N7, you're not home till 9 o'clock at night. Absolute nightmare stuff. So I don't blame anybody who's considering staying at home. Just go and forget about it. I'm just going to stay at home. I'm going to give up work and just stay on the dole. It'll be much better for me. Patrick Sullivan has become a new patron. Thank you very much, Patrick Sullivan. You're very kind to become such a generous patron. You can do the same, by the way, over there on my Patreon page. Go for it. Scott Middlehurst. Hi, Bob. Was going to order 330E from work to UK. Can't fit a charger at home, but have a free access in work. Now with COVID, I've been WFH since March. Now not sure if I could order one. Deadline is July. Well, if you can't have a charger at home, I wouldn't bother with it, to be honest with you, because unless a PHEV is charged in and charged up, you don't get the benefit of it. If the battery's flat, it's actually a sort of a bad hybrid when the battery's flat. It's not great. Toyota do a better hybrid in that respect because it is meant to be a hybrid. It's not meant to be charged up in the first place. It just charges and discharges as it feels like it. But a PHEV is designed to have that 50 or 70 or 40 kilometer range from the battery. So unless you're going to get the benefit from charging at home, you're really not going to get the benefit from charging at work. You could, on the flip side of that, go full electric on a complete electric car, wait till next year, there's loads more of them coming, or order a Tesla. They have the best ones at the moment. And you're able to drive to work, charge there, drive home, and you won't need a charger home. You just won't need it because you'll have enough charge in the battery to get you back again. Charge every day and work for free until your boss finds out and starts to bill you because it costs about like a tenner a day to charge the car and work or something. Robert Doyle, lockdown has been brilliant for the environment. The bees are going around, cleanliness of the air, the quietness of the area. Really got our asses kicked by Mother Nature. I hope it stays that way. Every day I look up in that sky and I don't see any white trails going across from the plains, and that's less CO2 in the sky. Nothing to do with contrails. Relax. We're not being seeded for rain. I mean, it's stuff. Johnny Dub has just sent me an email there. Thanks, Johnny Dub. You're very good. I got it. See? Everybody can send me an email. bobflav@thenextgear.com. It's right here. It appears on my phone in front of me. Cross13 says we should do the ANPR to get rid of the stupid tax insurance certs on windscreen. I tell you, I always thought we should just get rid of tax in the first place. Tax should be on fuel because then you tax the person who drives the furthest instead of taxing Biddy someone or other who has a Toyota Yaris 1 litre from 1996 who drives like 10 kilometers a week pays the same tax as me who has a brand new 1 litre petrol car sitting outside the door and drives 100 kilometers a day. You know, she pays the same motor tax as I do, or whoever it is, sales rep who drives a 2 litre diesel pays the same tax as someone who drives no miles at all. So the element of those two things should be put onto fuel. Tax should be on fuel. Then you get rid of tax. That means you get rid of tax offices as well, which means you save all the costs of having to print paper tax things and all that sort of stuff. I need to be the Minister of Transport, but only if it's a dictatorship and I can just go, make it happen today. That's me. Hellhound. Elon Musk reminds me of a Bond villain. Well, he reminds himself of Tony Stark. Honestly, he thinks he's Iron Man. I swear. Jack Cooper, when do you think driving schools will open in the UK, Mr. Bob? It'll be August, according to some of the comments that are earlier on there, Jack, so don't hold your breath. Andy FX7 reading a review in the leading daily. The car was described as affordable at 46,000. Affordable car to me is 15 to 25 grand. Yeah, I know that word is bandied about, but basically what they're saying is in this segment of cars, this is the affordable one of those ones. But 46 grand, lads, that's like getting to be the average price of cars. You be careful now. Cars are tripping up there to be 38, 39, 40,000 euro off the bat. They start at 25 or 30, somewhere in that range. But realistically, the one you're actually going to buy is 35 to 40. So cars are getting really expensive. That's the point of that. If you stop buying them, they'll become cheaper. Eric Washer says, you're not the only one, Bob. I find lockdown much less stressful than normal, getting more work done and more time for home, family, keeping the mileage right down under as well. If I could get the drinking level down, I have to say, I'd probably be much healthier. That's the problem right now is, it's very easy to settle into a glass of wine every evening and chill out, relax and take it easy and not think about it. I'm after missing 2 gazillion questions there. No, I read that one. I haven't read that one. Yeah, here we are. See, I'm good. I'm very good at catching up on these now. William Hope, the lockdown is very peaceful and I'm enjoying it too. I'm not so missing out on things so much. I'm honest to God, I'm not missing anything. I don't miss that. I don't miss anything. I don't really go to pubs, so pub was never on for me in the first place. My kids miss their mates, their friends. That would be the thing. Now I've organised Zoom chats for their whole school has been on Zoom chats with my kids. So I've organised that sort of stuff. I didn't organise, teachers organised that one, but I've watched that stuff happen. But it's not the same as 2 mates having a chat. So I'd like to see the kids get back chatting to one another and talking. So that'd be great, but we still have to wait till lockdown ends. John Egan, good morning from Manhattan in New York. You wake me up on a Sunday morning, with an interesting program each week. Keep up the good work. Good man, get out of bed, get moving, do something with yourself. Have a shave. That's what I find. I wake myself up a bit when I have a shave. I haven't been today, but I shaved yesterday. Amazing how much irrelevant stuff we find ourselves caught up in. Lockdown proves we can often make do much less than we think. That's 100% as well. We get caught up in this irrelevant nonsense of trying to outbuy each other, outdo things, whatever it is. Instead, right now, we laser focus ourselves now on work, on home life. We've taken away the commute bit. We've taken away the interaction, the water cooler moments. We've taken that stuff away, and it's very good for you. It's very good for your head. This is very good and very good for the environment as well. Presbyterian Irishman. That's a good username. Weird, but good. First class program, Bob. No problem. That's good. Always informative and entertaining. I totally agree with you. There will be things that I will miss after this lockdown ends. People will have had plenty of time for self-reflection. And that's it. At this stage, I know myself and I know my limits, and I've examined what annoys me and what doesn't annoy me, and how long I can concentrate on something is amazing. Particularly exercise. Exercise is taking a new meaning. Instead of running, which used to injure me. Running, I love running, don't get me wrong, but I got injured quite a bit from it. I get a sore back and, I could run for a half marathon. I've done half marathons in the past. I want to do a marathon, but I'm just not strong enough for it. Now I found that the whole family gets involved with people like Joe Wicks I know there's yoga. There's a yoga place we do. What's the other thing called? Some other fitness exercise yoga we do as well, and it's all here in the house. And the kids get involved. Wife, me, we exercise together. Like that never happened before. We always just go run on our own. So there's a different mentally in our brains. Things have changed. So we need to continue doing that. You need to continue looking inwards and figuring out what you want, because nothing makes you think faster about what's happening around you than death, right? We're all on the way out. I'm old now, and at this point I'm looking at 20, 25, 30 years. I want 20, 25, 30 years of health. I don't want to be sitting in a wheelchair, it's very cold outside. I want to be sitting on a beach in the Bahamas, and or off on the arse end of Spain somewhere, just chilling out and relaxing, enjoying a bit of sun. That's it. I'm not going to die in this country of arthritis, lads. Derek Meads, Bob, what are we looking at total buyer's market from tomorrow? Can cash buyers expect fairly decent deals, both new and used cars? No, they won't. Turning stock is not giveaway. You can't, if you cause a fire sale, and what I mean by fire sale is that you just start discounting cars left, right, and center. What happens is you run out of stock. People just stop buying because there's nothing to buy anymore. So you got to create a market. You got to be very careful how that market works and what happens in it. A lot of dealerships are in trouble. A lot of sales staff are gone. And I talked to a number of sales staff recently who are changing careers, not staying in the car industry and moving on. So there's a lot of that going on right now. And the contact book is going with them. Their customers are going with them. They're gone from the car industry. It's going to be tough to find those sales out there. But right now, I don't think we're going to have a fire sale situation. No. Exactly half a century after the Germans had Autobahns on the go, Ireland finally did the same. Half a century, yeah, exactly. Blue Dolphin says, my mom had a 2020 Skoda Karoq. What's your opinion on the car? Grand car, like the Karoq, nothing wrong with it. Bit weird looking on the front, but I actually kind of like it. If I remember that correctly, the launch of that was no, that wasn't the launch. That was the Skoda, the other Skoda. I'm trying to remember where the launch that was now. I can't remember. Not terrible. Some country with some beautiful mountains in it. I remember I was wearing a blue t-shirt. When I first came back from Ireland, to Ireland from Germany, on the way from the airport, I hit 220 kilometers an hour on the M7 without really thinking. You really get used to the speeds. It takes a lot of concentration, though. It does, yeah, it does. Cross 13, that is. And it does. When you get out on the Autobahn and you're sitting there in the fast lane, you realize the car coming behind you is now doing in excess of 200 kilometers an hour, and you're doing 200 kilometers an hour, and you're changing lanes in the middle of that. It can get fairly hairy at times, but the faster you go, the harder you concentrate, and actually the better driver you become. And I know that sounds really inane, but if you sit in a motorway with the cruise control on 120 kilometers an hour, you instantly get distracted. You just go, what's happening? What changed the radio station? You just get bored and you just look around you. When you're doing 200 kilometers an hour on the Autobahn, you definitely don't get distracted. You really pay attention. The Dutch changed their single carriageway speed limit from 100 kilometers an hour to 80 kilometers an hour. The Spain was actually talking about reducing their speed limit on the motorway from 120 to 110 to reduce their CO2 emissions. Just boys, if you've ever driven in Spain, it's such a big country. Can you imagine driving from the bottom of Spain to the top of Spain at 110 or less? My God, it would take you 4 or 5 days to do that. It's a massive country. Weird. We don't think about how big Spain is until you've driven across it. I drove, the longest I've ever driven in Spain was with Skoda. We did a drive back at the Fabia. We started in Lisbon in Portugal, and we drove up the length of Portugal, then kind of hooked over right to Madrid, and then drove north from Madrid up to France, and then back over to the coast and took the ferry back over to Ireland. It was 3 days, but honest to God, most of those 3 days was in Spain. Only the last day in France. We drove through France till we found a Carrefour, and I filled the boot with wine. It was great. Really enjoyed that trip, actually. Hi, Bob and gang. A bit late. Finished work, said Brian O'Donnell. Thanks, Brian. Come on. Everybody should be chilling out now. It's nearly beer time. It's nearly like time for a pint at this stage. Like, it's a Sunday afternoon. What's wrong? A little pint at 4 o'clock. Like little drinky poos. Andy McPhee, one of my wee brothers used to live in China and is the pickiest eater on earth. Said that the only way he survived was never daring to ask what he was eating. That's what I've heard. A lot of people have taught me that exact thing about China as well, is that just don't ask don't say what's the meat, just and eat it. That's it. Richard Cullen, cheers, kid. He says, thanks very much, Richard Cullen. No problem at all. TS, some old British and Irish made cars running around Malta and Gozo. That's true. Actually, I was in Channel Islands, Jersey. Had some gorgeous Ferraris over there in one piece as well. But they will rot to hell in Jersey and Guernsey. The two of them will be beside each other. Ray Daly has submitted money by Patreon. Thank you very much for Patreon people. I will be organising that Zoom chat as soon as I can. I have another Zoom chat to do with some YouTubers. There's an Irish YouTubers groupie thing that I also run. I run so many little clubs. I'm also the chairman of the Irish Association of Professional Motoring Press. I'm also in charge of the Irish Car of the Year. Plenty of time, like, no problem. Jim, the bus driver's in the house. Come on, Jim. Good review of my Toyota I thought I said my Toyota. Brian O'Donnell says, good review of Toyota CHR. Next vehicle will be hybrid. Be on my list. It's pretty good. Look, if you don't want to make the step to electric, hybrid's not a bad step to make. PHEV is probably better, but electric would probably be the way I would advise most people that could do. Just right now, there isn't enough choice in that electric market. There's just not enough cars. You need to have the ID3. You need to have the Enya on the road. You need to have all these things have to get on the road, and then you'll have this waft of choice of electric cars, and they'll all be doing okay. David O'Byrne is in the house. Well, David, looking well there with your beard. I think you got a beard in your little thumbnail. Thanks very much for joining. I'll be in touch when the lockdown ends. Michael Hegarty, I'm planning on trading a €19,000 valued car for a €40,000 screen price car. What realistically should be giving with my 19 grand trade in? Do they have 2 to 3 grand? They've always got wiggle room. Honestly, Michael Hegarty, the cost of trade is the only number you're interested in. This is if you're even remotely interested in buying a car, used or new, it makes no difference. I don't care how much your trade-in is. It's the difference between the trade-in and the sticker price is the only price to negotiate over, okay? So if your price walk, God, using all the terminology today, right? This is no dealership ever thanks me for doing a Sunday service because I'm always giving away some sort of stuff inside, right? So the car is I'm just going to put this on a screen so I can see it. Car is 40 grand. Your car is worth 19 grand. So the cost of trade is €21,000. Okay. Now it doesn't matter. Don't let a dealer say, well, look, I'll give you 20 for your car. No, I'll pay you 20 in the difference. That's €1,000 off. So only work on the cost of trade. What you really want to do is get that cost of trade down to about 19 and a half, maybe 18 and a half, 19 and a half, somewhere in that region. That will give you a much better value for your car, which is getting you extra money in your pocket. But cost of trade is all you want to talk about with any dealership when you're in there. Even if you're talking a backstreet dealer, you're talking about off-street dealer, whatever kind of dealer, if they're selling a car, the only interest you have is what's called the cost to trade. Not how much your trade-in is worth, but the cost to step from your car to their car. Negotiate about that price. All dealership have a good 3 grand easy to deal with. Brand new cars, maybe not quite so much on a brand new car. You'd be surprised, 1,500, 1,800, maybe 2 grand, maybe. The car's probably already discounted, so there might not be quite so much if you're walking to a brand new car. But if you're looking at a used car, for sure, there's going to be 3 grand. Any dealership who hasn't got a 3 grand washout on their car, you're not doing a business, boys. You're not doing a business. You want to get a washout of 5 to 8 grand on any car. A washout, oh God, all the technical shit coming out today. A washout is the profit margin on the car. So on the cost of trade, I bought it in for 10. I'm selling it for 18. The washout is 8. Okay. And it'll wash out on the 5th deal or on the first straight sale. So that 8 grand goes on to the next. The 8 grand moves on to 8 grand profit. If I sell it for 18 and I buy in a car for 10 and I sell it for 18, the washout was 8, the next car is 18, or I can sell it for 20 and the washout on that car is now 10, and it keeps going on and on and on till it washes out in the end. And everybody in the chain, so 5 cars, every 5th car that washes out. But if another dealer sells car number 3 or another salesman sells car number 3, the washout goes with him as well. So he's in the deal. He's part of the washout now. It's scary. It's old-fashioned. It works for older type of dealerships. It doesn't quite work that way for very modern dealerships anymore, but it does work still. Something similar works along the way. but the cost of trade is the only one you're interested in. You are as a buyer. Neil Brandon, will residuals be better on any new car bought now as there will be less supply in the second-hand market in the future? Yes, possibly, depending on the car you're buying. I don't think residuals are going to be better on like a 2-litre diesel or a 3-litre diesel or something in the future. I think buying, if you had ordered an electric car right now and you're getting it delivered this year and it's actually in the chain and you've got it made and all, that's on the way. I think in a couple of years' time, it's probably going to be worth a bit more than you think it is. And the same will apply for like perceived eco-friendly cars like PHEVs or hybrid cars. They're perceived eco-friendly cars. I think they'll be probably worth a little bit more in the future, but not a considerable amount. I'm not talking about you're going to make thousands out, or the car's going to go up in value somehow or another, because we will ramp up to meet supply eventually, and that will definitely happen for the end of the year. I would suggest by December we will have ramped up to meet demand again. But it very much depends on your demand. If you're not demanding cars, then no one's going to ramp up nothing. Ocean Frog, I totally understand you knowing where every pin is in your office. Let your wife discover that evil ideology promoted by Marie Kondo. Don't know what that means. I don't know what the last part of that means. But yes, I do. I know I can reach out right now and find a camera at any time. I can even find a drone because I know where these things are, because there's a logic behind where my brain is. So you're looking at the contents of my brain behind me. Jumbo P3445 says, Bobby, is that me or you? Is that your name or my name? TS, hi Bob. Whenever I go abroad in Europe, I can see certain models of cars that aren't available in the UK, but should be, like the Citroen C Elise or the Dacia Logi. You can get Logi here in Ireland. Are these cars for sale in Ireland? Yeah, they are, yeah. All European cars. Now, the Citroen isn't. Some countries like things other countries don't. So, for instance, a saloon tends to sell quite well here in Ireland, or used to sell quite well here in Ireland, but really didn't even bother going on sale in the UK. Take the Renault Fluence, we had it earlier on. That's a saloon car. Was originally designed to be an electric car, but came out in saloon first because they weren't ready for the electric bit. But that sold okay here in Ireland at a reasonable price. I don't think that even went on sale in the UK, because they're not in saloons. They're like their hatchbacks over there. So that's where that happened. We went hatchback for a while. We went estate for a bit. Now we're all SUVs. So that's why the cars sometimes come out in certain countries different than the ones we have here. Just specific. Some countries like certain things. Any news on a Dacia electric car when it's out? All of that, Billy Nomets, is on freeze. Mainly because no one knows what way Renault, Dacia, Citroen, Peugeot, the French companies, are going to ramp up or ramp down, and how they're going to proceed, whether they're going to make it forward. Dacia Electric I would be kind of excited about, because it's going to be affordable, because that's the way Dacia are. They are an affordable brand. They do a certain kind of job. I hope they never lose sight of it, because they fill a part of the market that absolutely has no competition in it. Nobody wants to compete there. No Volkswagen car is going to come out to be that affordable like a Dacia, or Dacia, or whatever you would pronounce that. But if they lose sight of it and they start to dribble up along the prices, they'll start competing with themselves. They'll start competing in the Renault territory, where Renault comes in like in that Volkswagen area, only slightly more affordable. That's the difference between where Renault and Volkswagen sit. Perceptually, you will perceive Renault to be a fairly middle stream, ordinary man brand car. You perceive Volkswagen to be slightly above that, even though their prices are quite similar, and their quality is quite similar in fairness. But Dacia exists in a point of the market nobody touches it. So I'd hope the electric car would be here by the end of this year, because they've got the components. It's old bits that came out of the Renaults, the Zoe and stuff. That's what will be pushed into the Dacia electrics. Robert, the car I see abroad quite a bit is a Clio Estate. Yeah, there's loads of them. I go to France, they're all over the place. All the years as well. Every panel battered to pieces in Paris. Especially in Turkey. That's in Turkey, Renault Clio as well. They look great and plenty enough room for most people. Did you know North Africa had a huge amount of Peugeots and Renault sold in them? Huge amount. You see assembled out there as well. The old 507, was it 504 or something like that, was a massively popular thing in Morocco. You see them all over the place over there. Blue Dolphin, do you think commercial vehicles will go electric? Not right now, this minute. The ones we want to go electric, the ones we need to go electric, is buses. It already exists, the technology is already there, and they are ideal for it, because they stop start the whole time. They're constantly accelerating, decelerating, accelerating, decelerating. So it works perfectly because they recharge on the deceleration and they go to a depot. So it's easy then to recharge them because they stop working at certain points of the day. Trucks, on the other hand, don't stop start. Trucks pick up at a depot, they drive a very, very long distance, and then they drop at another depot. That's how big trucks work. So as commercial vehicles go, the ones we want is a bus, particularly city buses, double deckers, single deckers, bendy buses, all that stuff. They should be all electric. Right now, there is absolutely no reason not to be electric. It's all, the tech is already there and it's developed. Volvo have been doing it for years. Anthony Waring says, "Hi Bob, not a fan of this one. Oh yeah, sorry. To one over Zoom, prefer hands-on. Sit on the touch and steering wheel, smell of what you're buying, thinking of buying a Renault Kadjar used when they open up." Okay, so put that in perspective. What you're saying is you're going to sit at home and watch some YouTube videos, or you're going to read a paper and get a review, and then you're going to go, right, I'm going to go to a dealership and try and find that car. You would be one of the very few in the entire world who would go out on that day looking for the car. You will sort through CarZone, Cars Ireland, what car. You'll go through each of the sites to try and find the car you're looking for. It will target a single dealership. You'll make a phone call and you'll go to the dealership and drive it. That's how that works. That's how the real world works. People already know they want a car before they get to the dealership. But if you can put another position in place, you can put another thing in place where you can visually call the dealership and talk to the dealership and have someone on the other end of the phone talking to you about the car, showing you pictures, just another layer. It's zero cost, nearly, not zero cost, but nearly zero cost solution to making sure that people who really want to come to a dealership will come and they are finished. They know who they're looking for. They've seen you. They've understood what they're doing. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for. David O'Byrne used T-Cut to remove sun cream prints, did a great job. If you're getting a bit of discoloring on your car, discoloring out the paintwork, as long as it's not a big scratch, T-Cut is okay. So T-Cut is a slightly abrasive cream. What it's doing is taking off the top layer of dirt and crap from the car, and essentially you're removing a small bit of paintwork as well, but it evens out the color. Only do T-Cut in the shade, in the cool, and once a year. Don't do it every time. It can do fierce harm to your car over time. And in the sun, you just strip off the clear coat. It just disappeared because when it's very warm, clear coat is nearly liquid. Mini eggs. With teachers in England resist to opening schools, which is a relatively controlled environment, how do you think you get from now to mass outdoor participation events like marathons, etc.? You won't, essentially. But if, in fairness, teachers is not really a controlled environment. You're sending 30 kids into a small confined space with a single adult for 8 hours. The risk of infection is really high in schools. Kids are massive vectors for everything, because my kids come home with every cold and flu they can possibly have. Now, they're very rarely sick, but it goes around the school very quickly. The whole school gets whatever's wrong with them. So you can imagine COVID-19, if it infects a teacher, bang, it's all over. That teacher's gone now for a month or more. And then that teacher spends the whole day going around, so they just spread it around the school. So we do need to be careful with school, although I do think to get the country back working, we need some sort of support for parents so they can go to work if they have to go to work. What did they do with the kids? What did they do? Nothing's open. Sure, bring their kids to school, bring their kids to work. You can't do that either. So what do you do with them? Yeah, we have to think about parents. Whether you like it or not, parents have very few options. Like, all my parents and my wife's parents are gone. They're dead. So what do we do with the kids? I can't just drop them off at Granny's house. Not happening. Can't do it. Cross 13 has to go early because he's going to have to wash his car. Washing your car on a Sunday. I'd be having a beer now. Terry Atkinson, water wipes think they're made from Drogheda to support local places. I think they are too. I think they're Irish made, but they're called water wipes. Yeah, you can get them in Tesco's. Reasonably priced too, like €1 or €2 or something for a packet of them. But they're like 99% water, so they're relatively safe to use in your car. I wouldn't use them every day, but they're relatively safe. Oh, by the way, there's a spray you can buy that it shows you spraying it onto a dirty car, and you just wipe it off, and it meant to clean your car. You're wiping off the grit, you're wiping off this, you're just making cat scratches all over your car. Don't do that. Wash your car, just water, wash it off first, then wash the car with a cleaner of some sort. Saw the Johnson & Perriott video of reopening. They stick a gadget in the car like a bug bomb and it disinfects the car interior. Impressive video. Yeah, I'm still not sure how that quite works or whether it's a good or a bad thing. I don't know. It's hard to say, but someone's going to make an awful lot of money out of that. That's what I can definitely say. Neil Brandon, Bob Flavin, probably with prob with ID3 is our spec will include stuff that EVers don't want, like 19-inch wheels, fake trim, mood lights, 3 battery sizes. We want rear cross traffic, blind spot, heat pump, sunroof, big battery. That's there you are. You see, that's someone who understands what they want in an electric car. And you're absolutely right. Rear cross traffic alert is brilliant. Blind spot is brilliant. A heat pump for sure. In this country, you'd be mental not to get a heat pump in your car, right? A heat pump, the best way of doing it, right? We've gone from like the electric fan heaters you can buy in little for like €2. That's effectively what your car heater used to be. We've gotten better since then. We now have a heat pump which can give you electric heat like that instantly and very low impact on the battery as well. Sunroof, don't know about that, but a big battery is always the best way to go. Dominic Gavin, hi Bob. I think it has done more than 6,000 miles to avoid the VAT on new car imported. There you go. You need somebody in the UK to drive around for 6,200 kilometers and then go, there you go. Here's my car. Don't buy a bleeding car in the UK. Buy it in an Irish place. But if the bar, look, if you're not getting a deal, I'm still a fan of, I'm on the consumer side. So if you're not getting a deal from the Irish guys, you stand there and go, listen, lads, you're doing me here on the price of this. I'm going to buy it in England. You'll get a deal, all right? Nearly 50,000 subscribers. Overnight success, Bob. Overnight, I'm telling you. I started last week and I've nearly 50,000 subscribers now already. I didn't. I started 10 years ago. Flick through more people answering questions. Thomas Clark, buying a car next week, either Renault Koleos or Outlander Fev. Thoughts? I'd go to Coleus, to be honest with you, because it's a bloody good value card. Outlander Fev would probably hold its value a bit better because it's a Fev. And yeah, technically, it's a great car. Really good. It's got like 3 engines. Very clever. Recharges itself very, very clean. But I don't like, I think the interior is too Spartan or so. It's just like miserable yoke to sit in. It's not very nice. It's very old fashioned or something. And I think the Koleos is actually really good, honest car. Really nice yoke. A little bit on the pricey side for Renault, but still a nice yoke. A little bit odd looking as well. I'd buy the Koleos out of 2 of those. Jim Quinn, hi Bob. I'm due come over to Ireland in the summer for the holidays from the UK on a ferry. What's the chances of this happening? I believe the UK and Northern Ireland can actually come into the country right now on ferries and driving in, so shouldn't be a problem, to be honest with you. But whether everything will be open is the other problem. If you're coming on a tour, campsites are closed, that's for sure. I think holiday homes and holiday lettings are also closed as well. So I don't know. It's the problem of you can come here, but whether you can actually get any like the pubs are closed and nightclubs and all that sort of, that's all finished. Restaurants, they're closed as well. They'd probably be open again by summer, but only in a very restricted way. I'd say it'd be mostly takeaway stuff. Ocean Froggy, in your humble opinion, was the previous Tiguan body styling better looking than the current newer model? Tiguan. No. Current model is much nicer, but only if you spec up the wheels and the other bits on it as well. You have to kind of spec it up a bit to get to that point. It's not as nice, no. In its plain vanilla mode, I think it's not quite as nice. John Garrett, hi Bob. Should I wait for the 202 plate over 201 registration? Does this make a difference in 4 or 5 years' time? Does it make much of a difference, John, to be honest with you? Because it's a month. It's just a day on the calendar to change. So it's not a massive difference in price. In a residual value, but what would make a difference if you're going to wait for 202, then why not wait for 2021 the beginning of 2021 and get that in January? It's still going to be about the same value. Literally, that 6 months is going to be 400 or 500 quid, maybe £1,000, depending on the condition. So it wouldn't be huge. Over 5 years, it wouldn't be a huge bonus to you. The ban hammer has come down on someone there. We're already in it. EVs are not just cars. They should be just cars, though, Ocean Froggy. Just drive the bloody things like a car. It's not 2011. Range is no longer in the vocabulary. Yes, exactly. That's it. They're just cars. We have to stop treating electric cars as something special. Then there will not be this or that. That's the problem right now. We're going black or white. If you're not driving an EV, you're a bollocks because you should be driving an EV to save the environment. And that's untrue. if you're driving a diesel, you're dirty. That's also untruth. There's so much untruth. If we just treated them as not saving the world, just another vehicle with a different engine, then it'd be fine. They could have petrol, diesel, PHEV, hybrid, electric. That's pretty much your lot until something else crazy comes along like hydrogen or nuclear powered, whatever it is. Should be just another addition to the fleet of cars. They're on offer. Car dealers are not selling many of them because they're not allowed, because they can't get them, because they have to reach the 95 grams CO2 levels, and that's it. There's a hoodwink going on. We could have hundreds and thousands of electric cars on the road right now, but dealers aren't allowed to sell them because you have to get that 95 grams CO2. John Gerard, I'm a frontline worker, got points after driving home after working nights. I was very marginal. I thought it a bit unfair. Unfortunately, if you got points from one of those Go Safe vans, there's nothing anyone can do about it because they're a Spanish company, same company that run our NCT. They don't care about you or your front line or anything about you. Could not care less. If you got points from a Garda, it's a different story entirely. They can, if on the side of the road, they might be able to do something for you. But if it's from the Go Safe, they just screw you. Screw you, they don't care. They don't care if you got 10 or 12 or 13 points. It's irrelevant. You lose your license, forget about it. Don't care. And that's the way they are, unfortunately. And it's all backed by the SIMI and all this lovely, cozy group of people out there who make all the rules around your car. Kieran Dickinson, what's wrong with reliable second-hand vehicles? You own it without having to worry about repayments. I got a Honda Civic 1.8, never let me down, economical and powerful. I have a 1.6 Seat Leon 2006, 15-year-old car out there right now. Goes every day. No bother. Up and down the town to the shops and doesn't cost a penny to run. But now the tax is a bit high on them because I'm in the old tax band. But like modern day, I could get something around the same value, only pay 150 quid a year in tax instead of paying 500 and whatever it is for the 1.6. I still love the car though. Nigel Dowdle, hi Bob, what's your thinking on a 2017 or 18 A6 TDI Avant Quattro DSG, about 2 litre or 3 litre? My heart, Nigel, would tell you to go for the 3 litre because it's a fantastic engine. The thing will go forever. And if I suspect you might be in the UK or you're a long distance driver wherever you are, you could go all up and down the country and do 1,200 kilometers in that car and never run out of fuel, right? In the 3 litre one. 2 litre one is a little bit less fun, very economical as well, not quite as heavy on the acceleration. It's good crack though to have it for sure. Both cars are great. I would probably go to 17 in a 3 litre diesel, but it's a diesel, 3 litre. I don't know how long that's going to be around. It'll probably be the last of its kind. It'll be like the last of the V8s. It's good fun, but it won't be around for very long. Everything's getting smaller and smaller. Footy Ferrari says, Bob, remember you're running the channel. That's true. I'm running the channel. It's me. It's all me, baby. I don't know what that is in reference to. Crabson 10, but I share the channel. I don't just run the channel. I share the channel with you guys. So it's you guys run the channel. If you don't like a video, I don't make more of those videos. If you do like video, I make more of those videos. You're the actual driving force behind the channel. So that's all the equipment that I'm after buying recently, all the stuff, that's all been enabled by you lads. That's how it works. The channel's getting bigger and it's getting stronger and it's tougher and there's more kit and the videos are higher quality, and that's you guys that drive that, not me. I just facilitate the videos, so to speak. Mark says, happy Sunday, Bob. Didn't you review the Karoq with Sinead? Made George memory location. That was not the Karoq with Sinead. I reviewed the Karoq originally in Sardinia or somewhere like, no, not Sardinia, Sicily with Sinead McCann, up a mountain. We were up a mountain in a vineyard and we reviewed the Karoq originally, I think. And that video is worth a fortune now. Still going strong, that video. Actually, funny enough, Sinead. The Irish one I reviewed with Sinead was a RAV4 versus a Honda, whatever the Honda version was. I can't remember what it's called now. It's terrible. But yeah, the original video of the Karoq was done in Sicily. And we stayed in some golf resort hotel thing in an apartment. Weird, like there's no one there. It's weird walking around this apartment block. And I seen the biggest sailing ship on earth was parked off the coast as well. I can't even what it's called. It's got the triangular sails. I remember, I still have pictures of it there somewhere. Matthew English, afternoon Bob, when do you think people will be able to buy a Seat Elborn? Which do you think looks better, the ID3 or Seat Elborn? Elborn looks better. Yeah, Elborn looks better. I don't foresee Elborn hitting the shores until 21. I really don't. I think they have to get the ID3 on the market, out there being delivered to people before they can bring out the Skoda version, the Seat version. They'll be close together, but I don't think we're going to see before 21. Lots of people talking to each other. Garrett Hussey, hi Bob. Porsche Taycan versus the Tesla Model 3 Performance, half the price, half the car. Fair comparison? Not a fair comparison. Model 3, I'd have it any day. I'll be honest with you, I would have a Model 3 before I'd have a Porsche Taycan any day. Model 3 ticks all of the electric boxes, and they have the network so well sorted that you'd be crazy to overlook what Tesla do. They really do. You park today, if I want to drive to Marbella in Spain in a Tesla, I can do that because I know exactly, it knows how to get there. It knows. That's all that matters. They just have it sorted, and the superchargers and all that network that they've worked out is unrivaled at the moment. I don't know if I'd bother with the Porsche Taycan. Performance or not, the Model 3 would do me fine. Michael Harrigan, thank you, Bob, for your advice on how to focus on negotiation. Now, yes, every time it is the cost of trade. It's the only one that matters. Neil Brandon says, thanks for answering my question. No problem. We're tempted to buy a new car as opposed to used. Michael. Alan Black says, hi Bob, late to the party today. This may or have been discussed. Any word on Yaris Cross yet, as pricing etc. looks. I did a video on Yaris Cross, which was the release of it. Now I don't know what date that's going to be. Here is another thing entirely. This is where it all falls apart. Is the dates for delivery, because we just don't know whether they can ramp up for supply or not. And of course, battery connections and all that stuff that has to be done as well. Looks nice though. I think it's a tidy looking car. I wouldn't expect it again. I wouldn't expect that till September, October this year in the, first views, first drives of it, and then maybe 21 for actual deliveries. Ban Powell. Will we ever have a power bank for EVs? Just those times we need an emergency backup, get us to a charger? No, because that would cause more weight in the car. More weight is the enemy of range. So you either just put in a bigger battery, or you put in a bigger reserve bit of the battery, which is what Tesla do. You remember in the forest fires, or the fires in California, they wanted to get their Tesla people who own Teslas to get out there, so they turned up the range on the cars, which allowed them to go into that reserve point a bit further. That's all. Irish Runner says, Bob just back from a 5K walk with the twins. Good. Bit of exercise. Good for the brain, good for the body, good for the attitude all around. Mark Houston. Do you think hydrogen would be an effective alternative to electric vehicles? No. Mainly for commercial vehicles? Yes, for commercial vehicles. For trucks, yes, hydrogen could be effective. We just need to have certain kinds of trucks. It's long range. The problem, hydrogen is not very effective. It doesn't get good MPG, essentially. And it's quite expensive to make as well. Now, Mercedes gave up entirely on the hydrogen future. They invested a couple of billion in it here and there over the last few years, and largely has just dropped out of the race for it. So whether that can continue or not, whether the hydrogen thing continues or not, I think hydrogen will be best suited to kind of delivery trucks that are going back to a depot every day. It might be fine. And electric for buses. Below. Good afternoon, Bob. First thing I hear about the Dacia brand and their oncoming electric car based in the Asian market, Renault Kwid. What a stupid name. Who comes up with those names? KWID. What would you say about the Citroen Amy and the EV Skoda Citigo? They're too expensive to bring into the country. The Skoda Citigo, I've driven that car. It's a lovely thing to drive. Range is really short, but on sale here, it would look ridiculously expensive because of our VRT and all the other options on it. So they didn't bring it. Plus, Volkswagen, Skoda, they've all met their 95 grams CO2. They don't need to worry about CO2 emissions, so they don't need to have it here. Simple as that. Garrett Hussey, thanks, Bob. Another great Sunday service. No problem, Garrett. Thank you very much for joining in. Do options on a car make much difference to the dealer profit margin? Yes. Options are king on dealer profits. So you could sell a car for 20 grand, which is nearly cost. Someone orders a glass roof to be put in, that could be 5 grand extra. That could be instantaneously a 5 grand washout on your car. Or you might have LED headlamps, or you might have rear lamps, or you might have 19-inch alloys or something, and the alloys end up being a good extra 200, 300, 400 quid on the bonus, because there could be a bonus structure set up to sell options, extra options on the car. So yeah, a dealership can make a lot more by selling you options. But I buy options to make my life easy, like cruise control or touch screens, or bigger, better sound system, to make the car enjoyable. You don't have to buy big 21-inch alloys. They just cost more money on tires and fuel. Eugene Hogan, tax is already on fuel. I know that's import duties. That's duties that's on. That's 78% of a litre of fuel is tax, just so you know. 78%, thereabouts. But if you put like 2 cents on a gallon of fuel and scrapped tax on cars, sorted. Glenn Farley. Bob, had a classic Corolla GTI for a few years. Good man, it's a good car. It was a red 1992, was a mint, and I've kept it now and see the prices of them selling now for great money. Yeah, no, they fetch quite a bit of cash now, the old GTIs from Toyota. Amazing car. Go backwards through a hedge in the blink of an eye. I'll be dead honest though. That's they are scary. Tony S. Bob, Tesla has a clear strategy for future, which would be their patented battery management systems, which they will sell to other companies, by the way. So everybody will have that. But yes, they have a clear strategy for the future, and that is to go to Mars. Essentially, that is the clear strategy. All of anything Tesla make will be recycled into the company, but inevitably the profits will go to SpaceX. But yeah, they are on that route of battery management, battery installers, battery recyclers. That's where they want to be. They don't really want to be making cars. Gelos, what do you think about the Lexus 300H 2014 and buying trouble? You're not buying any trouble. Lexus, never a moment trouble will you have with that car. Lexus are by far and away one of the most dependable cars you can possibly buy. They will go around the clock. You will have to maintain it, as like any other car. But the problem Lexus has always had is people buy a Lexus, then they keep it for 20 years. That's why Lexus don't sell a lot of cars, because people just don't get rid of them. So buy the Lexus, you will be happy as Larry. You will not be buying trouble. Just make sure it's been tested. You know, you got your services. Do your normal checks. Service history is important. Price to tires. Tires are the biggest expense. They're a stress purchase. People go out and buy tires when they really, really have to. People who buy used cars tend to buy tires within 6 months of buying the car. Wolf Rick, I've been waiting on an answer to my questions with patience for a long over an hour. You skipped me. Nice one. Sorry, Wolf Rick. There is well in excess of 2,000 questions answered already. So sorry I missed. You can ask it again if I miss. I'm sorry. I usually don't miss any questions, but I'm sorry. I may have missed one. Eugene Hogan. I buy a car for 10 and sell it for 18. I'm 31 years selling cars and I've never seen that. You've lost the plot. Eugene, they're not real numbers. They're not real numbers. Just trying to make it very clear. Say 10, 18, 20. If you want to say I buy a car for 10 and I sell it for 10 and a half to 12. That's more realistic, I'm sure, but that's harder for people to grasp onto. Going from 10 to 8 is much easy. Anyway, selling cars 31 years, you know exactly how this works, and you know exactly how washout works, you know exactly how profit margins work. Profit margins are adaptable things that change depending on who's buying the stuff. That's fairly straightforward. But yes, no, the difference in prices can be quite dramatic between, you could make 100 quid from a car, you could make 10 grand on a washout. Just depends on how it works. Dave McCarthy, not true. I traded and gone back to the dealer for a week later to find my car and sell for 3,500 quid more than accredited for me. That's because they're going to discount that. You see, a dealership puts a sticker price on the front, 20 grand. Doesn't mean that's what they paid for it. Doesn't mean that's what they bought it for. They could have bought it for 15. They're putting 20 on because they know no one's going to pay 20 for it. They're only going to pay 18 for it. That's what really happens. So they've got to put a bit of wiggle room. Now, the same applies for the old way of buying things in a normal shop was negotiable as well. So they put on a profit margin on it. So the margin is the difference between its cost and its retail value. That's the margin, right? The overall profit of the company is before taxes and all that sort of stuff. That's different. That's total income of a business. Fully Ferrari has done it as well. Bob's, when I said, remember your running channel, I meant the Run Gear channel. Yeah, that's right. Used to do the Run Gear. Love that. But Paddy might be coming back, actually. He's starting to do a bit of exercise again. So see if we can get him going. Paddy Comment, that is. Dave McCarthy, Brian has answered a question. David Allen, hi Bob, have you spoken about the MG ZS? No, I have not driven one either, haven't. There is a dealership, I think, in Ireland that's selling them, but I don't think we have any press car ones for sale. So I haven't been over there. And obviously no travel, so I haven't been over to UK to go near any cars over there. I will be arranging a UK trip in the near future. I've been speaking to a number of car companies over there who don't sell cars here, but I've been thinking about spending a couple of days, go over there, you know, testing an Aston or a Porsche or something, because they're in the same area, and then zoom around, have a go on MG, and maybe go up to the Formula One areas and just film some content stuff, you know. Below. Hi Bob, while I agree that there isn't anything wholly between the fuels of each car. I admire that, but it's simplified. EVs, above all, are mobile energy stores. They can power homes and sell to grids. You see, I agree with you, but that's kind of dreamland at the moment. That's not reality. The reality of buying an electric car is that the person across the road from me who lives in a three-bedroom semi-detached house, who owns a diesel car at the moment, has to step into 40 to 50 grand's worth of a car, plus 1,200 quid for the installation of a charge point, plus learning how to do the charge. This is all dreamy stuff, and I get it. It is coming. But for the step of me buying an electric car to run my house is such a gargantuan amount of money step that no one's going to do it. No one. It's just humongously big to do that right now, especially if you're not going to do it yourself. You're not going to install things on your own. It's really, really expensive to go from one to the other. So I don't know if that's a big thing, whether that's going to be an actual big thing in the next 10 years even, because the price of all that stuff to run your house from a car and plugging it in, and the DC charge running back in through a charge point, and who pays for that, and who services that, and ESB, and just so many things that have to be lined up, that we have to think right now, in the next 3 to 5 years, what is the best way out. That's the problem. Carl King, hi Bob, your thoughts on a new Kuga? There's better cars out there than that. The Kuga's nice, but there's better cars for sure. It's not very cheap either. It's kind of expensive actually when you start weighing it up against something like a Tiguan. My favorite in that segment would be Karoq, Tiguan, Kodiaq. You know, those German. I know I always talk about German Skoda. But I'm a fan of what they do. It really does work. They really do work well, and they provide a decent service between the whole lot of them. So I'm in that sort of realm. Robert Van Sant, hello Bob. Just going back to the Tesla Model 3, what was the ride quality like? I've heard they're rough and hard over rough surfaces. They ride like a German car. They're kind of a sharp bump to them. Do you get used to it? Fairly rapidly. It doesn't really take that long to get used to it. Just about nearly 2.5 hours going. I'm still talking. This is incredible. Right, I'm going to call it there because we're 2.5 hours in. Actually, we are now at this stage, and the whole lot is going to run out of place like droves out of place. Thank you very much for joining me today. It was an amazing Sunday service again. It's going to be one of the bigger days, definitely going to be one of the bigger days of the channel without a shadow of a doubt. I think 5,000 people watched last week. I think the most we've ever had was like 8,500 at some point. Crazy numbers for a little tiny YouTube channel that does nothing but cars. It's been brilliant fun having you along. Hopefully you will come again next week as we do another Sunday service to keep everybody going. Keep on trucking. I'm sure I'm not missing anybody now. We're all right. Keep on trucking. Keep your head straight. Get some exercise. Over the next week, things are going to start opening up. Dealerships start opening up, and that's what we're need to look forward to tomorrow. Hopefully we won't lose anybody along the way. We're not going to lose any dealerships, but we'll see as things go on. Click on the like button. The support channels are always open. The super chat ends on the live stream, but the support channels for Patreon and PayPal and all that sort of stuff, they're all existing. You can still all do that sort of stuff. The Tesla documentary will be out next week, probably towards the middle of it. The Patreon guys get to see it first. So if you become a patron, you will see the Tesla documentary at least 24 hours before it goes live on YouTube. So any of the Patreon guys, you can look forward to that one. And we will set up that Zoom call very, very soon. That will probably be next week as well. Look after one another. And until the next time, I will see you on the far side.